Calling to order the Municipality of Monroeville's budget hearing for 2023. It is November 3rd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. This is our second of two budget hearings that we have as per our home rule charter. There's no voting this evening, so this is clearly just a budget hearing for council to hear from the department heads, the remaining department heads, and then to deliberate. And if there's anyone from the public here to address council on any budget issue, now would be your time to address council. Seeing none, we're going to close the public comment period and move right into our presentations and question and answers from our department heads. So first we have Pat Fulkerson and Doug Communale from the tax office.
Thanks. Mayor, before we get into that, Josie, Josie has an adjustment, just so council knows, from the first budget hearing. She made the adjustments to the budget, and that's at your station. It's this sheet right here. Josie?
Essentially what I did, I took the, our original budget total numbers, and after our meeting last week, this is listed by the department that made the adjustments and the amount of their adjustments. I have the explanations, I just didn't put it on here at this time, just to give you a brief idea of what we added another 105,662 to our original budget, which really isn't that much of a percentage change, but I just wanted you to be aware of where we're standing as we go along.
Were some of these things corrections that we found? Because there were some numbers that were off. Mostly
Yes.
they were those.
Yes. Well, and then when people mentioned, for example, I mentioned that I needed to increase a couple of things, so,
Okay.
yeah, so that's what it was. I think Tina had an increase in hers, what's where she has the IT, 20,000. And she had discussed that last week, that there was another part of a service contract or something that needed added. So that's what this is.
Okay, but you do have a breakdown?
I have a breakdown if you want to see the detail.
Yeah, if you
Give
can make sure you get it out to council,
Okay.
so they have it, just so everybody's on the same page.
Well, how about if after we get through tonight, I'll give you a whole updated with all of them.
Oh, great, yeah,
That way we won't.
Thank you.
perfect.
Works.
One question for Josie before we get started. The fuel costs for this year, you doubled everybody's budget. Is that going to be readjusted or?
It's up to council. We just put it, that's what our best shot was at the time. And so,
Is that because we were under budgeted this past year? Or-
no, because the price of gas went up so much. And
I mean,
we saw that in our gas expenditures, that it was up over last year's.
Well, can we reopen and readjust that if there's a change, a significant decrease in that, Mike? Because who knows which direction
Well,
it's
I'm
going.
not saying it might not decrease, but doubling what we budgeted last year for
Right.
each department.
Right,
That's a lot.
right, for now, for this part of it, and then if we take a look at it in we pass it, it goes into effect, can't we then readjust at that point, and then back it back down, Mike, so it ends up being,
Well, if it doesn't get spent,
if it doesn't get spent,
Yeah,
to do
It
that.
stays in the budget if it
Yeah,
gets
put it
spent,
back
because we
in
don't know
budgets,
where,
yeah.
hopefully gas prices don't go crazy like they were, but no one here
Well-
knows that.
Right, I mean, that's if the money actually does or doesn't get spent, but from a budgetary standpoint, I think what Mike's asking, okay, let's cut it back, and we can use that money other places in the budget,
Well,
even
take
before
up
we do.
this extra 100,000 for
Right.
sure.
Yeah, so, what's the best accounting way to do that?
Well, it really is dependent upon how you want to treat it. We clearly, none of us know what it's going to be. If we budgeted a little high, we're probably better off to adjust that prior to when you vote on the budget in December, as opposed to waiting till, because you'd have to open, that's all Tim's area.
Well, what my
expertise, whether we
suggestion-
want to open it.
We have a 50% increase there right now. And let's say, we'll go from $5 a gallon.
Right,
Because that's basically where we were. And a year ago at this time, it was what, 250, even less than that,
right.
okay? So my suggestion would be maybe to increase it a third or 40%. So you're talking about reducing it maybe 15%, 20% now from what we have.
Yeah.
That would be my suggestion.
So why don't we will figure that out before we
Right.
vote on the budget?
I mean, it's a good point, to look at it from a budgetary standpoint. If we did leave it up there, like you said, if it doesn't get spent, it doesn't get spent, but then we're looking
Yeah.
at surplus.
We definitely want
That
to
is what we're
increase,
doing.
but maybe not double.
Yeah, 50%, that's,
Yeah.
or double, same thing.
So would everybody be comfortable with 70% instead of the double?
You mean 40%?
You mean increase it a third, 35% from what we budgeted last year?
Right.
Yeah.
Trouble
talk-
is, if we run out, we're gonna put more money in it for fuel anyways. So if they don't use it, then put it back in there.
Well, Tim's making a note, and we'll get it figured out before we vote on it. How about that?
I'm sorry about that. Sorry, Pat.
Pat, he used up most of your time, so.
You're done. Your allotment's done.
Are we ready?
Please.
Please, all right. First of all, it's been a good year for collections. We'll be about $1.5 million over surplus, and it was a good year. And I really want to thank council for taking my recommendation for the new employee
Usually he's
and approving it. He was an excellent find, so I like to do that. Now, I have two problems with the budget. I'm probably about $1 million that you guys, we didn't give to you. And somebody changed our numbers, and I didn't give it to you, but somewhere on the line, somebody changed the numbers. First of all, the one is mercantile tax.
Yeah, Mr. Fulkerson,
Yeah.
what, do you know what page of the revenues you're on?
28.
28. And it would be the third item down. For the last, average for the last 3 years, we're about 3,800, 3,800,000. Somebody put in 4.2 million. I don't know if that's going to be whole, but that's, whoever did it, I hope they come up with it. Hope they come up with the money. The other one is the current business tax. We were never at 3.8. We've been at mostly around 3.2. And I don't know how you're going to come up with that, but everybody's,
Well, if you look, go to the front of the budget message, and you can see, here's what I based it on, Pat. On the business mercantile, now this is a total. In 2019, which is our best year, was 8.9. We had collected, as of 9/22, if you add them together, I remember, we were already at, I remember when I added it together, we were already at, this year, we were already at 8.2, when you combine business and
Well,
mercantile. I'm talking about delinquents and everything.
well, that's, first of all, I didn't give you that number. And if you take responsibility for that number, it's all right with me. If we make it, we make it. If we don't, we don't.
No,
But
I was
right
just-
now, I am not comfortable with that number.
What would you reduce it to?
I would reduce it to probably about 3.9 on that business mercantile. Now, the one I really am a little disturbed about is the current business privilege tax. We have lost probably about 100 businesses in Monroeville currently. Our business privilege, if you can look at the license, they have not gone up. The license have gone down. So that means that you're not having that much business privilege. The mercantile tax, we got lucky because there's a major player out there that has been paying us. But that might not last because of certain things. and I'm not taking responsibility for the 4.2. But we're at, last year's budget for the current business privilege at 3.1. And we're at, probably right now, current business privilege is at 3.2 we have collected. So,
So Pat, just to make sure that, so are you saying, so let's say, if we're looking at line 801, the current business privilege tax, so.
yes,
So it says here, actual 9/30 of 2022, the end of September, it's saying 3.3. 3,355,000.
Right.
Are you saying that number's wrong?
no.
That's correct,
That's
as of
correct,
September.
yeah,
okay.
as of right now.
And then if,
What line are we looking at? Sorry, Nick.
810,
And that means that all
I'm sorry,
the,
801.
301.
basically all the
801.
taxes are in.
yes, yeah, Mr. Adams, so the current business privilege tax, so it's 801
Okay, got you.
on that line. But then, so, Mr. Fulkerson, so if we move up
You can
to-
move it up at if you want to move it up to 3.4, I'll take responsibility for that.
Well, and then I just want to make sure I'm understanding this. So
Yes,
The mercantile tax, line 301, everyone, our actual is currently, as of September, is 4.4.
right,
That's correct.
that is correct.
But so you don't think 4.2 is appropriate for next year?
No, because there is a big player out there, and things are going to be changing.
That figure is made up of one particular business, so if they don't meet what they met this year, we're never gonna hit that figure.
Okay, so one
And I
one
don't-
particular business is
yeah.
weighing this.
Right.
And I don't want to get into that business because,
Well, I don't either, but what do you think
Yeah.
the minus on that would be then, other than if we're saying 4.2? What do you think? it
I
would be?
think you could probably live with 4.2. We'll, make that, we'll try to get to that level, and we can live with that. But it was changed without us knowing about it. And
That's not true, Pat.
it is true because you didn't discuss it. Why were you arguing about something?
Well, it's not true. I mean, Josie and I met with you. We had a
And you-
meeting.
Yeah, we gave you our thing, 3.8. And so,
Well, I mean,
what's
when-
the
when-
problem?
Pat, I don't want to argue with you.
No, neither do I. I'm not arguing with you.
No, all I'm saying is that,
You didn't give it to
we-
us, you didn't tell us that it was changing to the 4.2. You didn't tell us that.
okay, I didn't tell you, Pat.
All right, I believe it. Anyway, the 3.8, did you change that and you tell us that?
Well, yeah, I told you the numbers I was going to put in there when we
No,
met.
you did not.
Hey, Pat,
What?
see that sheet?
Yeah,
That's what I gave to you.
no, you didn't give it to me. I'm sorry, I don't have that sheet. Because I would have discussed it then.
Well, can
There's
we?
no
how
way
about-
that you can make 3.8.
Well, let's do this,
Oh, yes,
for the sake of
please.
council.
Yes.
What do you want these numbers to be? Let's
I-
get, so
I-
that way we can correct the
All
budget,
right,
so council,
4.2 is good.
you'll be okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And
The
then what about?
3.8 is not a good number, because we're not, business privilege is not there.
So what-
3.4 would be a good number.
3.4?
Yep.
Okay.
Which line item is, you want 3.4?
801.
Line
That's
801.
801.
So instead of 3.8, it's 3.4.
Right.
Josie, you got that?
I do.
Other than that, how you doing, Pat?
I'm doing all right. Life is good.
Great.
I'm still on this side of the earth. And anything, other than that, I have no problem. Anything else?
Those are the main two issues you wanted to bring
Yeah,
up?
that's
Okay.
all.
Doug, anything from you?
I just wanted to bring up the, on the expenditures, line 300, legal services. Since courts are back, and hopefully we're through the pandemic here, we're anticipating getting downtown to, complete some cases. So that's why that's up
It's in expe-
3 times the
I'm sorry,
amount.
what page are you on?
That's,
That's on the expen-
13.
13 on the expenditure side.
Yeah,
Doug?
right.
300?
Yeah,
300?
300, legal services.
Okay.
Are any of those performed remotely, or is it all in person? I don't know if they change.
Well, as far as I know, we have to go down to the county to solve them. Some of these are from as early as 2015. So we haven't been down there in years, so hopefully we could get down there.
Okay. Anything else on the expenditure side? Standing out? Nope.
No, we did, no increases, no.
All right. Council, any questions?
I have one question. Council approved an employee for you.
Yes.
How's that working out?
As I began this talk, it's excellent. He's a good employee. He knows how to handle businesses. He knows the compliances. He knows the regulations. Doug has done a great job putting him up to speed. We're good, and we thank you for hiring that person.
Yeah, he's definitely good to work with.
He is excellent.
Glad it's working out.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Council, any other
appreciate it.
questions for the tax office? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks.
Next, we have Tara from the Senior Citizen Center.
$92.93.
Thanks a million.
You, ma'am?
Saves me from
Thank you.
things that.
Yeah, this is a lot easier when you have somebody hands you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, sir.
It's easier to.
Make it look important.
Names.
Yeah, I guess you do this.
And this is page 90 and 91 in the expenditures.
Okay. So you see the big word draft on the newsletter I gave you. So you are the first to get it. So don't give it to anybody. It's a secret until next Friday. But in the centerfold, you'll see that I have inserts in there. One is the budget we'll be talking about. So if you could pull that out first. The newsletter is just for your reference to go over it. Obviously, you can see we are, by the size of it, we are back to pretty much pre-COVID with our programming, other than our evening hours, which I'll get into that in my talk. But I just wanted you to be able to see all the great stuff that me and my staff do on, this is a seasonal, we went to a seasonal newsletter. So this is our winter, it's December through January. We are up to about between 5,000 and 6,000 visits a month at the senior center, which is pretty comparable to what we were with pre-COVID. So we are happy to finally have things somewhat back to normal at the center. You'll see on there, I'm going to talk, you look at what I'm going to be talking about today. One of the major things is employees at the senior center. I know Nicole addressed it within her department, and coincidentally enough, I'm going to be addressing it within my department as well. There is at the senior myself and 2 other full-time employees that work on programming at the center. That's it. 3 of us, not 15, 3. And you can see there's a 24-page newsletter filled with all kinds of activities that we do on a daily and monthly basis at the senior center. We also have a full-time custodian and a few aerobics instructors that help with the classes at our senior center. We do rely on volunteers, but most of those are seniors. They're very restricted in what they can and cannot do at the center. Most of them just help with the events and programs, and they come that day and help with the serving of the food and cleaning up afterwards. All of the development, preparing of the programs is done by myself and basically my program coordinator. The fitness coordinator cannot help with the special events or the programs or the informational talks or anything like that. He is pretty much tied to the fitness center. He's in charge of basically teaches classes on a daily basis. He does personal training. He teaches fitness clinics and workshops. He also does daily orientations to new members that are joining the fitness center. So he is not able to come out of that area and assist us when we're having big events and programs. For example, we had this past Monday, our annual Halloween event, 150 people, it was a sold-out event. And that was pretty much handled by myself and Carol, and unfortunately, we had a numerous amount of volunteers to help us with that. But that's just not enough to be able to keep doing what we're doing and continue to grow. So you'll see at the top page is what you guys already have in your budget. I did highlight the different areas that I'm going to be talking about today. But if you turn to the second page, or actually the third page, it spells out the budget adjustments that I'm requesting for my department. One of the main things I'm asking for, a lot of people are asking when we're bringing back our evening hours. Prior to COVID, we were open from 8:30 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. I'm asking to bring back those evening hours. I am adjusting them back a little bit to 7 o'clock. After talking to the two supervisors that worked prior to COVID about the hours, they both instructed me that after 8 o'clock it was pretty quiet. So I wanted to stay open Monday through Thursday to 7 p.m. The one employee that was there prior to COVID is willing to come back, so we're excited to have Mike come back on staff. So I'm just asking for that money to be placed back into the budget. Obviously, we base our salary budgets based on what we're currently doing. So we didn't have that position in the budget for the past year and a half, so I'm asking for it just to be placed back in there. And you can see it's all spelled out, what they'd be working, how many hours a week, what they'd be paid, and the total of that. Any questions about?
Tara, it doesn't sound like it's enough.
It is.
No, I mean, let me back up to your first statement. So with the activities that are ongoing, and you really only have 2 staff handling activities with
Yeah.
fitness, doing whatever, the activities and if you look in the balance, the cost of silver sneakers and some of the revenue kind of helps with the
Yeah,
fitness
it does.
coordinator to do that. That's okay. And you're only asking for half a person for more? Don't you think is that enough?
Well, I didn't, I'm not done with, I would like to ask for more, but I didn't, with this piece of paper, ask for that. I was trying to be reasonable in what I was presenting to you, small steps.
Yeah, sure,
I
I
did,
understand.
I will be honest, I did watch the past meeting with the library and their presentation, and it did change how I was gonna speak to you today, and I just haven't gotten into the full conversation of it. I didn't change what I printed out, so
So you're thinking.
I don't need a full-time evening supervisor, no. Could I, yes, have a full-time, a full-time events coordinator? Absolutely.
Well,
Could I have a full-time receptionist and not a part-time one? Absolutely. I am the only department that does not have a full-time receptionist or clerk or whatever you want to call it. I didn't ask for those things because I was trying to be cohesive with our budget, but after seeing the library state that they have 15 full-time employees and the request that they were asking for salary-wise, I definitely did have intentions, and I was going to talk about it.
I mean, events
asking for
coordinator,
more.
I mean, the idea of events coordinator right here, and you're saying only part-time, it sounded like you had more than 20 hours a week.
Like I said, I could use a full-time
Okay,
employee.
and,
I was trying
and there
to
isn't
be-
any other, to my knowledge, there's no other revenue streams really to help offset, to add to that cost?
No.
I
I mean,
nothing came to
obviously,
mind.
we have revenue that comes in from our programming, but the senior council uses that for
Okay.
expenses of the
Right,
program.
yeah, right.
So, no.
That's not the same thing.
No.
Okay. Doesn't-
Question, your telecommunications has gone up quite a bit.
Yeah, I'll get,
Oh.
I'm just working with employees right now. So, yes, on this piece of paper that you're given, it does not state a full-time events coordinator. It does not talk about the receptionist being moved from part-time to full-time. But yes, I would absolutely want that. But obviously, like I said, I was trying to be reasonable in what I was asking for, but.
So the part-time special event coordinator, which you do have on your list, so possibly making that full-time would be helpful.
Absolutely, because of right now, it's me and Carol. If one of us is off or something happens.
That's what I'm
it's-
asking.
We have to
Commissioner, yeah.
cancel events. We had to cancel
Right.
an event this summer. It allows me, a lot of the stuff, it takes away from me doing administrative work. I get behind in things because I have to do a lot of the stuff.
Can we back up a little bit? So
Myself.
how many employees are there, how many full-time, and then how many part-time?
There are myself and 2 other employees that are full-time and a custodian, but you can't count the custodian,
Right.
obviously, when it comes to that kind of stuff. Now, does my custodian help me sometimes in the kitchen and things like that? Absolutely, but, he's not supposed to be doing that.
So the
We all kinda
full-time,
work as a
if
team.
we'd made a full-time special events coordinator, that would be a fourth full-time employee, is that
Yes.
correct? Okay.
But to be honest with you, I would prefer to have a full-time receptionist. Because as of right now, we have a part-time one, and actually that person just recently retired. So I'm actually trying to fill that position. And when that person is not there, it requires me or my program coordinator to be there. Sometimes my fitness coordinator can help out, but 90% of the time he cannot.
And that receptionist position, just sort of.
We just added that.
Right, but as far as that front desk position, they're not just greeting people.
No.
One of the big things they're doing
No, they are.
is generating
They're making sure
revenue.
people are scanning their cards, both their silver sneakers and their membership cards, which helps with our revenue. They also sell tickets to our programs and our events. They help with the beginning process of signing up a new member before it gets handed down to Carol, who's the person who finalizes the memberships. So that person's extremely busy, especially when we're in the, morning hours in the heat, when you got 2 exercise classes going on with 30 people in each class, and then everyone else is coming in for whether we're having a luncheon or a talk or cards down the hall. There's times where even myself and Carol will have to go help the person at the front desk because they're trying to check people in, a new member comes in, and there's 12 people trying to buy a ticket to the holiday luncheon. So, just for an example, the holiday luncheon, the tickets went on sale Monday, we're already sold out at 150 tickets. So we sold 150 tickets in a matter of 4 days. That's a lot of traffic just for buying tickets. And that's just one event. We have obviously a lot. So, yes, I absolutely want a special event coordinator. When you have 150 people coming to an event, there's a lot that takes preparing for that. But I also need a full-time receptionist. That would really, we've been suffering for a really long time, staff-wise.
Okay, so I'm sorry, a second part of the question was, what
Yeah.
is how many part-time people do you have? That front desk is one.
Yep, and if you look at the list, we have 3 instructors that
Okay.
teach exercise classes. But
And they
they
do-
don't have anything to do with, they come in, they teach your class, they go home.
Right, okay.
If we were to add the evening hours back, we would have a position there too as well. That person's in charge of overseeing what happens within the building at night. So they mainly sit at the front desk and supervise the building.
And to Dennis's question though, the part-time fitness instructors, they're only there for the actual hour that they're teaching the class.
Okay.
Or 2
Like
hours.
Maureen is my main instructor. So she teaches Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 until 1. Frank teaches a little bit after that, and then he's
And those are back-to-back classes. Those
Yeah,
are
you can see
subsequent.
in the newsletter who teaches what. But she's my main instructor in addition to Frank, who's my full-time fitness coordinator. Then you have Sue LeMayo and Steve Bonner. They teach a few classes a week, but they don't teach nearly as much as Maureen and Frank do. The other thing is if Another thing that happens if one of them call off, Frank is responsible for filling in for them so that we're not canceling classes. So, finding fitness instructors right now is also difficult. Finding employees everywhere is difficult. So if one of them calls off because they're sick, or we've had COVID and they're off for 2 weeks, it becomes very difficult because we're not able to do personal training or orientations in the fitness room because he has to remove himself from that area to teach the classes, so. There's a lot that goes in and out of the center on a daily basis that I don't think a lot of people actually realize.
So your order of needs, your preferences is receptionist and then events coordinator as you expand.
Yes,
So full-time receptionist, part-time events coordinator, part-time evening coordinator.
yeah.
Or part-time
My
supervisor.
ultimate Christmas list would be full-time receptionist, full-time special events coordinator.
So do the part-time people currently, what benefits are they receiving currently?
Nothing.
Just the
They
salary?
just get hourly salary, yeah.
Which is pretty much paid by the people that are paying for the exercise themselves or the silver sneakers.
Yeah.
And how many hours a week does your receptionist?
Right now, that position is 8:30 to 1, but if there's a big event, they may stay, like when we had the Halloween event. That person would stay until the event's done. So there are some days where they stay maybe till 3, but on an average basis, it's Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 1.
So it's like 23 hours or so,
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's already in the budget.
that's
that
already in
figure.
there, yes.
Okay, so if council's looking to maybe make that a full-time, we just need 17 more hours plus whatever benefits would come with that.
Right, right. Now, that would obviously probably, I did talk to Tim about that, that obviously then becomes a union position, which it is not now, obviously,
It's
because,
part-time.
Okay, so the other full-time employees are union employees?
no, none of my employees, the only one
None of
that's
them
a
are union
union is my
currently.
public works employee.
Okay,
The
that
rest
would-
of them are
okay.
all non-union.
Okay.
And the special events coordinator would be a non-union position, too. Clerical, it's because it's a clerk, I don't think you could get away with making that not a non-union position. Okay.
So
Over that?
just bring this home, that part at least. So we'll have, if indeed it would be, Tim, a union, possibly a union position, that amount of money, that salary benefits, that'd be a pretty set number, right?
Correct, yeah.
Right.
Whether or not, I guess it would be a union position, but I'm not gonna make that judgment
Right.
right now. I imagine it would be.
Now, that also brings up my second discussion, which is not in here, is Nicole brought up about salaries and hourly rates and things like that. And I just want to reiterate that. Both of my full-time employees right now, if you were to hire a full-time clerk, would make less than that full-time clerk that those people are responsible for supervising. So I really want to stress to all of you that you look at all of the non-union positions within the borough, not just the library, but not just my department, because I really want to speak up for all the non-union employees, because we do fall under the radar when it comes to what we do on a daily basis. A lot of us hold management positions and we're responsible for people in the unions, and sometimes they may make more than the employee that supervises them. So it's been an ongoing problem for a long time, and I just really want to speak up for my coworkers and highly recommend that you look at what each non-union employee does and what they do in comparison to other employees in their department, how long they've been there. Because I have like Carol, who's been here for 22 years and makes an extremely low amount of money. And I have, everyone knows, I have fought a really long time to get my employees making what they should be making. They should be making comparable to what the employees in the rec department make. They do the same exact thing. You have recreation program coordinator in my department, recreation program coordinator in the recreation department, and they make severely different salaries. And Carol's been here for 22 years, the position in the rec department, not that long. So I really, really want you to look at that. I mean, I feel like it's time to be looked at. It's been long enough that the non-union employees have been put under the radar, so. Enough said of that. So, moving on. Contracted services, you can see that I've had to increase that quite a bit this year. That falls under me having to lease 6 new treadmills. So that's trading in the 6 that I currently have that are, 3 are 7 years old and 3 are almost 9 years old. So they are way past the expectancy of what you normally have for the livelihood of a treadmill. But all 6 of them need new parts. We're kind of just babying them until we can get the new ones in. We have started the lease process, both myself and Tim, because there was going to be a tremendous increase with the product if we hadn't started the lease process as of October 1st. So we did actually already start the lease process of trading in the old ones and bringing the new ones in. And it spells it all out there. It's a 5-year lease, how much the monthly payment is, how much it is a year. And again, it's replacing what's pre-existing there. It's not adding anything new. Any questions on that?
Can we get to telecommunications now?
Yes, you can. Okay, so telecommunications.
There just seems to be a major increase.
There is, and
even
I'll-
over 4 to 5 years.
Yes, well, with Tina through the IT department, the municipality switched from Verizon to Comcast, which, when we did that switch, we did, change companies, but we also changed the setup of how the internet and cable and all that stuff goes through the building. We were extremely behind in our internet services. We didn't have high-speed internet, all that kind of stuff. So there was definitely an increase, as you can see, for $5,500. That is your internet, cable, telephone. That's not anything I can control, that's just contracted services. The other thing is, you'll have the rec department getting up as well. Both of us have Vermont Systems Rec Track software. We use it at our building for our membership software. If you've been to the senior center, everyone gets a membership card. They scan in. That's how we keep track of everyone that's in the building on a daily basis. Those cards are also used to access the fitness facility. People are given access to that room based on clearance forms. So the room is locked, and those key cards give them access to that room. And that's all orchestrated through the Rec Track software. I've been using this software since I started in the rec department, both Paul and myself. I think we got it like in 2004. I don't know. We've had it for a long time. But we were always licensed. When I moved from the rec department to the senior center, there was no software whatsoever. People were just signing a notebook, which if you have any kind of emergency or you have COVID, there was no tracking of who was in the building. So I installed rec tracks at the senior center. When that was done, we were given a license. So it wasn't until last year when we were told we needed to do significant upgrades between both of our departments or we were going to lose services through them, that we realized we were both paying for licenses when we could be combining our licenses and paying for one license. So a lot of what you see here is the combination of the rec track license between the senior center and the rec department. When we did this, it made sense to only go cloud-based so that we had more of a backup system. It also provides both departments to, say we're holding an event at the community center or off-site, I'm able to do membership, like people sign-ins at the site. So if I do an aerobics class at the senior center, I can use my phone to have people scan their cards there. So I can actually keep track of attendance both outside or inside the building. So what that is there's also the increase of, my building or my center is paying the yearly fee of $3,600, so will the rec department. The cloud hosting fee I pay for, the rec department pays for. So, it looks like a significant increase, but it is being shared between both departments, and we were giving a huge upgrade. We were behind, what? 7, 8 years in upgrades. So because we hadn't been upgrading like we should have been, there was a major increase because we needed to catch up and get to where we needed to be able to operate properly.
And with this fee, the updates are automatic as part of,
Yes.
that, like
The nice thing now is it cuts out, it
licenses.
eliminates a lot of work in the IT department because they no longer have to do a lot of the stuff. If we have a service issue or there's an upgrade, it's all done through the cloud. We call Vermont Systems and they take care of it. So, there's a lot of positives that go into us and also there's us upgrading, and then there's also positives between us merging too. So we now have like a complete record of all of what we do recreational wise between both of our databases are together now. So reports or anything that you guys want to know as far as what age does this, what gender does this between all of our departments, how many are residents, non-residents, we're all combined, so.
I just don't, we don't have to go back over
Yeah.
mine.
No, it's perfect, yeah.
No, it's just real quick, so it's actually a great advantage for us too, because now we're gonna be able to do things out on site.
Right.
If somebody register, show up and say, oh, I wanna join this class, they can do it out there now on their
Right.
phone and stuff. So there's so many more things that we're able to do.
It also gives us a
Going back
better.
over it again, yeah.
We also got a better upgrade with the, internet,
Yeah.
the website. So we'll be able to, like with me, I didn't have the module to do online registration, but because I joined with the rec department that did have it, I didn't have to pay for that module. So now we're in the process of setting up, being able to have people register online, use a credit card when we didn't have credit card at the senior center. So, also, if they were to ever want to use a membership software for something down the line, they get a rec center or another pool, and they need that card membership basis.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
I know, I'm
It's
saying.
shame on you.
Yeah.
You had.
They don't
$20
have to
million.
purchase
You
that.
had me at combined, but now you've lost me with,
And it's gonna give us the ability in the future to also do registrations for picnics and stuff online too, which we don't have that capability, but we will.
Right.
Once we get this system where we dialed in where we need it, so that's all. Just
And that'll all merge in with our new website.
It already has on their
Already has.
basis. Mine, if you go on there, it'll say online registration coming soon. Because there's a lot of data entry we still have to enter. And being short-staffed, we just haven't had the time to sit down and do that. We were waiting till the quieter months when it started to snow and the seniors don't want to come out in January and February. So that will be a new addition to the senior center come the new year, online registration and credit card processing.
So I believe you answered my question. Thank
Thank you. You're welcome. I was getting there.
damn it for being so long.
All right, so I'm gonna
you. I thought it was cool.
try to be done real soon. You can see on there, without me explaining it, the revenue of Silver Sneakers. We are by far not what we were prior to COVID, but we're getting back up there. In 2019, we made almost 60,000. This year, I project we'll make a little bit over 40. The beginning of the year was slower, but now we're filling up classes, sometimes turning people away, which isn't a good thing, but, you know, you can only have a certain amount of people in a space.
So if I have silver sneakers,
Yes,
I should come up and waive that so you guys can get credit and money for it.
yeah, but technically you do have to participate in something.
Oh, do I? Well, ice cream.
That counts. Social counts.
What the misconception is with Silver Sneakers, people think they have to come in and actually take an exercise class.
Yeah.
And that's false. If you come in and take an activity at my center, or at the center, you are allowed to scan your Silver Sneakers card. They believe in both mental and physical exercise. So they believe whether you're coming to take a Silver Sneakers exercise class, or you're going down the hall to play bridge, or you're coming in to go to a Halloween event, you're mentally and physically stimulating yourself, and that is positive
Do they believe in ice
towards
cream?
your health. So, people scan regardless of what they come in for. They come in,
I
they
have an
scan.
electric cutting cup. If I give it to her, you'll get Mr. Stevenson. So you can bring
Okay,
the
one more thing real quick, and I'm done unless you have any other, electricity. I know you talked about that with the library.
Yeah.
Mine is astronomical too. I highlighted it in orange. I don't know why. We've not changed anything at the center.
Nobody.
Actually,
But
you
I wanted to
switched,
make you
we
aware that
switched
it
over
wasn't
to.
just the library, it was ourselves,
Right.
our building as well.
But you switched over to LED lighting too, so it
We
should have even
did,
gone down.
but not through the we're working through the entire building, but we've done a good chunk of it.
But that's something that would have been
Yeah.
less.
Yeah, we've done all the hallways, the fitness center, the kitchen area, card room. We're doing it little by little, because, just to do the social hall.
It's the
would
service, it's the
be a lot.
service provider. For everybody, all of our buildings. I'm not so sure that
But I
it's,
just want to make you aware that it wasn't just the library.
no, we know,
It was our-
all the buildings.
Okay, one last thing, I know I'm being more than 5 minutes, Sharon, sorry. In there, you'll see a flyer. One of our big things is, everyone knows the cost of everything has gone up tremendously. And we've been working hard with senior council all year long to make sure that we do not increase the prices of what we provide to the seniors. And we've been doing that by, one, senior council has been subsidizing a lot of the expenses when it comes to our lunches and special events. We charge $8, $10 for an event, we by far spend way more than that. But again, we wanted to keep the costs at a minimum to our seniors. So fundraising has become a very pertinent thing at the center. It always has been, but even now more so than ever. And our biggest fundraiser is coming out next Monday. Santa's Big Stocking Stuffer raffle. We have over $2,500 in prizes. One being, we're proud to say that Pro Bike and Run is being our premium donor for this event. They donated an $800 Canon Treadwell 3 bike that will be part of that $2,600 or $2,500 raffle. It's probably close to $2,600 now, because more things are coming in. You can see on the back page exactly what would be in the stocking. It's $10 a ticket. The person wins it all. They walk away with all of it. So, $10 to win a boatload of Christmas presents is one great deal. So I will make sure, these tickets are going out on Monday. I will make sure that Nick has a ticket for all of you to buy on Tuesday, because I understand there's a council meeting.
now.
Well,
don't
no,
have
it's
them
good. No, it didn't
I don't have them
Yeah,
yet.
so Tuesday will be fun. Thank
If
you for
anybody out there wants to help sell them for us, please let us know at the senior center. This is a community-wide event. It's not just selling tickets to our members. We're gonna try to make as much money as we can off of this to help subsidize our programming into next year. So,
Is there a limited number of tickets?
I bought 1,000.
So there'll be 1,000 tickets?
Yep. I'll buy more, though, if I have to.
And you'll set them up to the last day, or?
Yeah, we are gonna actually raffle it off, at our holiday party on Tuesday, December 6th. So I'll sell them all the way up until the end of that event. So, yeah.
This is unbelievable.
Thank you.
This is unbelievable.
Council, before Tara gets down, any other questions for Tara, council?
Nice
I just wanted to ask,
Did
she
you?
was talking about some of her employees. We had that list of all non-union employees. Her two people were at the bottom of the
They're
list.
at the bottom.
Yep.
And I didn't realize Carol had 22 years. That's,
She has
yeah.
22 years.
yeah.
Started the library.
Started at the library.
She started at the
She
library.
came over to me in
14,
14.
14, yeah.
Any other questions, council? We good? Thanks, Tara.
Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, Parks and Recreation Department. Paul Estock and Danielle Cole.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. All two. All two.
All the,
I promise we'll try and make it really short because we know what's behind us.
And really sweet.
And really,
We know who follows us, so we will try to do as quickly as we can.
Oh, one.
You guys said it. Again, I want to thank you for allowing us to come before you guys, to continue to support the council, the mayor, Tim. The Parks and Rec is heading into a good place. As we all know, Joanne left back in December. Danielle was, at the current time, our secretary, and it was Danielle and I for, well, pretty much 7 months before we brought Flora in. Danielle took the job, we 4 months without somebody in Joanne's job. Danielle took over, and then we just got Flora about 4 months ago. So we're still in the phase of trying to catch up. But we are making progress. I think as this rec board, as we go, it continues to grow. Our rec board has been amazing. They're good people. We have a good group on there. So everything's heading upwards, and your continued support really helps us to get along with that. So, I do have a packet. I know if you look at the packet, I do have the budget lines in there too, so if you ask for a number, but I do have everything in your packet already for you. We'll start out with 3365. We just want to highlight a few things for you guys. With 3365, the only thing that we're responsible for is the revenue side. We do nothing with the expense side. That'll be handled by Paul number 1 when he comes up here shortly. But, we do a lot of things, community events and different things like that. There's a list of the different things that we did. To highlight a few things, the pickleball, we appreciate your support with the 6 additional temporary courts. We now have 12 courts up there, which is now not enough. It continues to grow. If you look at your paper there, we have 175 participants roughly that are part of pickleball that come up there Monday through Sunday, 8 to 12 o'clock. It's just crazy. And then the people that are, and then when people can't work, they're up there in the evenings, the people that can't make it during the day.
Yeah, it's a cult, Paul. It's a cult.
Yes, it
Yes.
is.
They're a
So,
very positive cult, though.
Yeah.
so we met last week, Tim, myself, Danielle, and the pickleball ambassadors, as we can call them. And, asked them, where is this trend going? And they said nothing but up. They don't see it slowing down. And it's just so what we're going to try and do is, we have some issues with the courts currently that we're currently working on with our solicitor, and Mr. Hugus is working on, but if we can get that resolved, we'd definitely like to approach the idea of maybe creating some type of organization that we can, they'll pay a fee to the Parks and Rec, and we'll use that money to enhance the courts and do different things. We can't do it until we get the courts where they need to be, and we hope that might happen by the spring. And speaking with Mr. Hugus, I don't put him on the spot, but we're hoping by spring we'll have some type of resolution for those courts.
Because if you
Yeah.
look at our 20-year-old courts versus these courts that are 3 years old,
Yeah.
they're substantially more cracked. They're definitely not going to be an adequate playing surface in the near future because of freeze. When it freezes, it will expand the cracks, and then by spring, we could even have a problem. We have a group of really ambitious and helpful people who really would be happy to be very invested and take the lead in this membership and organization structure, which, half of anything is community buy-in, and we have it already. And we have doers, not just complainers, which is such a blessing. And they definitely have the momentum that if we could meet their needs, we could continue to expand that, and it could be a revenue source for the community to maintain itself.
So is this something like how there's Monroeville baseball, softball, there's Monroeville soccer? Are you looking to have it something similar to that?
Yeah,
So-
and there's a program up in Cranberry. Cranberry's probably the biggest one. There's currently 15 pickleball courts up there, and they are currently adding additional 6 to take them to 21. They currently stop memberships at 800 people currently at Cranberry. In speaking with these guys, we said to ask them, because they play all over, these guys. These guys are from Murrysville, some from Monroeville. They play everywhere. They're good players.
Give a mix.
And they said that basically, we're the only place that has this many courts around. Like Oakmont just put in 3 courts. I'm working with Carly from Murrysville. She's asking us for some information. They're putting in 3 out there. That's all they have. We're kind of the hub of this area. And I think it's just a growing sport that really, and we're also looking to maybe expand for people that don't know how to play the game, don't feel comfortable with groups, maybe putting a court in another park, just one court where people can go, learn the game and stuff like that. But these guys are amazing. We did 4 sessions of lessons. We sold out every single one, 15 people.
By far my
Within 3
quickest
days.
registration.
Within 3 days, we sold out 4 different sessions. And we're going to try and offer over the winter time if possible.
Is there any way to ascertain who's playing?
What age group you looking for? Or are you looking for
No, I'm
Monroeville
looking-
residents?
Monroeville compared to Fox Chapel, Wilkinsburg.
Coming into our area.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
Definitely, when we make a membership structure, there could be a differentiation between resident and non-resident, as any of our programs have. But I do also want to say that even if these are non-residents using our amenities, it is bringing non-residents to our communities, and they're bringing things like donuts and coffee and stopping at our grocery stores on the way out. So I really see it as a win-win to be a hub in the eastern communities.
I don't have a problem with being a hub. I have a problem with the usage some of our people don't get to use because other people are using it.
Sure. And I think that's what would help with this
Yeah.
group that we're trying to create, this, we're trying association, to allow dedicated time for this, but also dedicated time for residents of Monroeville. That is definitely a thing, and you want to elaborate on it
I was
at
just
all.
going to say, I was going to ask about I just was thinking about what Tara was just talking about in terms of the system, the software that you put in, the cards, the usage, similar to, what they use in the fitness center too. So as it expands.
Absolutely.
You're saying they would.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I
We
mean,
would need a
definitely.
full fence for that, but
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, definitely. We definitely, it's going
Right,
to be, it'd be
right,
cool.
it would have to be closed,
So-
right, it's not
Yeah.
closed.
But if
So
it- but
access
if it-
to the facilities.
But if it was a group, going back to like baseball, softball, or baseball, softball, soccer, if it is a closed group, just how every kid that's playing on the baseball team, because they're registered and
Right.
we have it all tracked.
Right.
And yeah, maybe there is non-resident fees, maybe they pay a little bit more to be in this group.
And I think what Bob's asking currently, the current situation, how many are residents of Monroeville? I would tend to say 60%, 65 maybe percent. I mean, that's what I think. Is that low or high? I don't know. But I think there's more and
think
more
it's low.
coming. I
but there
do,
are more
but I
coming.
think that as we continue to grow, more and more residents of Monroeville are wanting to play the game.
Yeah, and
And
there's.
Pretty much all the people
As
that we
word-
registered, 60.
As word spread, other people are going to want to play too.
Well,
Sure.
what this group is also doing is they're instructing our courses. So every course they instruct, they bring 15 new members into like that realm of wanting to be a part of the pickleball group. So, that definitely can attract more local residents, especially as we advertise primarily to them.
Well, I just don't want to see our residents
Yeah.
being held
Correct.
off from playing because somebody doesn't live here. is
Right,
playing
and that's
in
where I
front
think
of
an
them.
association would help.
Well,
with
and I
dedicated
also
time.
think that the membership would not have exclusive use of the courts all the time. It would be
Right.
certain hours to
Sure.
make sure that non-members who are community members still have access to that
It'd be like a
facility.
permit type situation.
Yes.
That's what
yeah.
we
Though
create
It will
by
still
doing
be a
this.
public space. There will just be privately used times for the membership.
Understand.
So moving forward, just another event that happened, other than everything else in the community park, we had the train race again this year, highly successful. Not as many people, but I thought the weather was cooperative. Injuries were minimal. And I
Very
think,
minimal, 6.
The condition of the park stayed pretty much intact, and I think the addition of what the guys did with the additional part in the back of the park was amazing, and it really helped keep this race off of the main park. I think it really helped. So I think it was an amazing event. So it worked out really well, so. Now, at the revenue side of this, 3365, Tara did talk about the new rec system. We're still got some kinks here that we're trying to work with the finance department. So what you're basically seeing here on the revenue side, these numbers are very low. And the reason why is all these numbers are actually over in 4,600. So when we get to it, you'll see the difference. These numbers, you'll say, oh, there's nothing really in here. There is. We have to get them transitioned from 4,600 over 3365. Just be patient, but we are doing well. We're doing very well. There also, that's not in here too, is there's still a fee of $12,000 coming from ACB for their rentals. That check is coming. It's a combination Visit Monroeville type thing, so we're just waiting for that to take place. Also, might as well get to this right now. Tim asked us to bring this up. Currently, our situation is we have rentals across the board. We have outside rentals. We have the community park rentals. Our fees vary from $125 resident up to, say, $250 non-resident. Across the board, for every pavilion that's rented, it's an $80 fee. The $80 security deposit. So as long as you clean up, you get the $80 back. That's been kind of contention here. Some people say, you know what, for $80, we're not going to clean up. Or they'll put, they'll just do damage to the place, whatever, and say, hey, keep our $80. So there's a twofold here that we want to increase it to $200 for the deposit. It's actually in our fee schedule. Because of this reason, we want people to feel accountable for cleaning up and making sure they're doing it and they're doing it correctly.
Well, and what happens during the time they've rented it as well.
Yeah, and so, and the other reason why we do this too is if Josie wants to say something about it.
Well, it's actually, the way we're handling it now is kind of like a bookkeeping nightmare, because you give them a check, or they give us a check, right?
They pay for everything up front. So this year, we'll do, Josie's finance group will have to do, we'll have done $780 refunds.
Maybe a couple less.
Well,
Yeah.
let's say 650.
Who doesn't
Yeah,
get their 80?
Yeah,
So
who
the
gets their
so the
80 bucks.
resident, or the whoever's renting it, they pay you a full amount, which
Yes.
is the rental and the security
Correct.
deposit, all in one amount.
Correct.
And then if everything's fine, then we issue a Monroeville, a check back to them.
We
Yes.
financed it
Correct.
650 times this year for $80.
And the problem is, there's, a lot of people don't cash those checks. And we have a lot of $80 outstanding checks.
So can we go, maybe this is where you're heading, is it, can we go credit card and?
So we're looking
Have to
at
be a
different
card.
opportunities, how to do it. The
Really.
check, credit card, we've met as a whole here a couple of times. We're trying to come up with something, but we wanted to get the okay from, to let you guys know, to approve the $200, which is in
You
our
have a
fee
couple,
schedule.
That's in there, right? It's already in
Correct,
there?
yes, sir,
Yes.
it's in there.
You have a couple examples of what other municipalities.
Yeah, we went ahead, we looked across the board, and we looked at Murraysville, Cranberry, all the ones that have the size that we are, to look and see what they're due. Some of them are doing $300, some are doing, most of them are doing $200.
Marshall, was $500.
Marshall was $500 for a deposit,
And they're
and,
cleaning up afterwards.
yeah.
Well, and I'll
that's
tell you what, I
what's
think
happening.
$200 is very reasonable, and I'm not saying go to $300, but I even think $300 would be reasonable, because you gotta have some skin in the game here, that you're gonna clean up, you're gonna do what these two what they say and what is in the app that they sign, and that they're gonna do it and clean, at least to a good semblance of, I mean, yeah, you're gonna have some staples and things here and there, but, and the other thing too, and council knows this, I mean, we get people, we've had a little bit of a problem this year. People aren't leaving at 8 o'clock. We have police officers go up there, and if they don't leave at 8 o'clock, and the police officers have to come back, and I'm talking about a police officer coming back twice, then they lose their deposit. We've had a rash of people. As you well know, we had a Park Coast couple quit because of what they went through, and I just think it's it's just the state of society today.
Well,
And
doesn't it also cost us, if we have to clean it up, do our people
That's-
work overtime to
Right.
do
Exactly.
that?
I was gonna
And
ask
the
you-
$80 doesn't
Exactly.
cover that cost.
Yeah.
I guess.
Right.
What was your worst case?
I
I'm
agree
going to
with
expand on
300.
what Bob was saying today. So what was the worst case scenario of something that wasn't cleaned up that then
This year,
cost us to
somebody
do?
actually put all their tables, grill into Evergreen's bathroom and left it there. So when the Park Host went up there, locked the door, everything was left in there. We called them next day and says, you can keep everything, just put my grill out there, because it's $80.
He didn't care.
He didn't care. Like, think about that, am I right?
Well, let's think about
It was a
300
grill,
instead of
tables.
200.
Well, yeah, I mean, from a damage
I think
standpoint.
200 is gonna hit people where it
At
hurts.
least you'll, 200.
What is the, so the largest pavilion at the community park, or the
Yep.
two?
Yep.
How much does that cost to rent on a weekend?
$225 plus the $80 deposit. $175 for a resident,
Or 250.
or $250 for
250
non-resident.
non-residents?
Yeah.
Yes, and what we had discussed is $450 is a lot of money. Personally, it would be a lot of money for me to put out in one paycheck. So we had discussed the option of keeping the credit card on file as long as it was going to be valid past the event date, or keeping a check like a lot of other municipalities do on file and not cashing that check until we have an issue
But we
if
have
we
them
needed
post-dated to the day of the event, post-dated, so we.
So it doesn't
because
go
there's that 6
stale.
months,
Right.
you know, that
I mean,
the check goes
ideally,
back.
Josie?
Credit card's the
Is that
ideal
okay?
situation.
Yeah,
Yes.
we discussed
Yes.
it.
We discussed, yeah.
Yeah, the credit card.
And truthfully, it's no different, and people rent cars, they rent hotel rooms.
Right. It's
They use
L.
credit cards, and there's that caveat of,
Definitely.
okay, if you damage things, we're gonna charge you. I don't see why we couldn't do it the same way.
The other scenario that you have is that people that don't clean up and then show up late the next day to clean up.
Yeah.
So they would have a party Friday. They would leave, Public Works shows up it's a mess. They're cleaning up. The people that rented it showed up, they're like, what are you doing? Well, we got to clean up your mess because you didn't. And then there's conflict.
Because they think
They leave it
they
dark.
think they can
Right.
they
If
can leave
it's
at 8
dark,
o'clock
then
at
they're
night,
fine.
hurry up and get there in the morning, clean up, and they're good, but they don't realize we have it booked all the next day.
Right.
Well,
A
at
lot of
what time
times-
Public Works starts?
Well, can you
Right.
make that part of the agreement then?
We are gonna
They
change
sign?
everything, initial,
Yeah.
signed, and what, to Paul's
So that
point,
doesn't happen.
there's also, we also have people that are maybe, Nick's coming and booking a park, but Nick's not showing up to park, he's booking for somebody else,
Hey, just as,
you
For a
know?
non-resident.
So we gotta put that number, that 200, I think it has to go up there.
what time does Nick and Brian and those guys start on a weekend?
Well, it doesn't matter because even the parks crew is out at the neighborhood parks cleaning up the pavilions from the night. And it's a lot of times they're back to back. You got them running Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
So they're in at
A
6:30.
6:30.
They start at
6:30,
6:30.
okay, well, never mind. I was gonna say, if you're there at 6 o'clock and clean it up before they get there at 8 o'clock,
Well, so
And
the
if you-
animals get into it overnight.
okay,
then.
all right.
It
okay,
really
never
needs
mind,
to be
forget it. Okay, all
handled
right, I'm
after
with
the
you.
event.
All right, you're
And if you
right,
leave it
you're
a
right.
mess, they're starting at 6:30.
Yeah,
It takes
okay.
them a while.
All right.
Well, I mean, I
have
don't think
to go-
council's any problems with the
No, I just wanted
$200
to-
by any means.
We
but-
said we were gonna bring it up, so.
But let's figure
Yeah.
out the whole credit card check, how we actually do this. I mean, but I think
I think it needs to be increased to
Okay.
300.
Yep. So, moving forward, again,
Money
3365 expenditures, Mr. Paul number one will be up with that shortly. Moving on to 4500, just to highlight some different things here, and this is kind of, we already talked about, we had roughly 700 picnics this past year. Currently going into 2023, we already have 90 booked. So like I told Josie, if we pass this in January, Josie's still gonna have to do 90 refunds, but not 650. You see what I'm saying? Because we have to,
Because we do book pavilion rentals up to
1
1
year
year
in
in
advance.
advance.
Yeah, so, one of the things we do want to talk to you about, and that's what you're going to see in here with regards to our budget, with regards to expenditures, we are asking for council to consider, and it's currently in here, we're actually asking to consider bringing back the quarterly brochure. The brochure was taken out in 2019, effective 2020. It's a quarterly book that the Parks and Rec has put out that goes to all residents of Monroeville. Post-pandemic, we really need that brochure back. Our numbers are down.
What line item is that, Paul?
So if you're in 4500, page 75,
Yeah.
you're going to see two different numbers here. Postage, 454215 for 10,900, which was currently zero. If you go back and look at 2020, it was actually 9,900. And if you go right down further to 454390, printing, it's now 19,600. That's a big jump, I get it.
Mike, that's what I was telling you about. You asked me
Yeah,
after.
with the $7,000.
And that's a big jump, we get that, but the quarterly book is so important to us, and we get it that, but right now, we still don't have the people with the technology that can go online and do things like that. We still have the everyday person that pays by check, walks in the door, it's very difficult, and it's hurting us right now, it really is. I mean, Danielle, I'll say to you straight up, she's doing a fabulous job. And it bothers her because she sees the numbers and they're going up, but
I
not
thought they
as
were
much as
coming
they are.
back to some, I mean, not back to where they were.
No.
We're
But-
still down 20%.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
think for the amount of programming I'm running,
She feels there should be more. And
Yeah,
I
it's not
try
a
to
good
be
showing.
patient. And I-
because if you
So
look
we're
at how
not
many
back to-
programs
we're
I
not
run,
back
I
to,
run
say,
more
the 19
programs.
Danielle, we're not back to 19 levels.
Yeah, no. No.
What
we're
are we
not.
looking for, another 30,000?
19.6 and 10.9.
Yeah, 30.
So if you take away, so we are looking for, that's our increase. And across the board in our entire budget, that's the only thing that we're really looking for
So
currently.
you're saying the programs that you are running, they're either not as attended as you'd want them to be,
Correct.
or maybe there's some that maybe aren't running because you gotta cancel them, right? You're not getting the work.
And our swim instructor,
Right.
our swim program's really hurting right now.
Yeah.
And it's always been huge for us, and it's hurting really bad. And I don't know if it has anything to do with where people don't want to get into, with other kids in the pool and stuff like that, but we have to find a way to increase it. We're willing to look to start over the whole 4 quarters, and then maybe slowly back it off as people learn how
'Cause
to use the new system that we put in place.
One of the things we've heard from residents is that they thought we just went away after COVID because our brochure went away, and our residents were so used to getting it quarterly in the mail, and when you have something paper in front of you, it reminds you to register for things, because I have so many people with really expanded programming in a lot of different directions who are like, we just forgot because we didn't have anything concrete in front of us. I saw it on Facebook, but I didn't remember to register in time. So we're missing out on a population.
So this is a quarterly mail out?
Yes,
We- That's
no
and
problem
one of
with
the
that,
things
sorry.
we've worked to do, which we haven't been mailing it obviously for the past 2 years, we're just digitally publishing it, is make it more of an all-encompassing Monroeville publication. So we're trying to link a QR code to the senior center's brochure, and have
That would be a
library
good idea.
events in it. And we also publish the Public Works trash and recycling schedule in it. So lots of useful Monroeville things. And if you would consider this, even for a period of time, so that we could implement some kind of structure of maybe the less technologically savvy population still being able to receive it when we go digital, like people can opt in or opt out, or maybe still sending it to new residents as well, so that people know what great amenities we have in our community. I think there's lots of ways to adapt this moving forward to make it more effective.
So our experiment a few years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, of which then we stopped it, which we looked at as part of that, the decision to look at and say, no, well, media, it's now, COVID wasn't the only thing that screwed it up. So you're looking at another way. I mean, we're now going to have more than one way to publish and entice people into the programs. So we're hitting hard copy, digital.
Digital.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's an easy.
Community
This is an
events.
easy thing. It's $30,000, especially with, you brought up a good point, with the post-COVID thing. It's really just to remind people that it's happening, and you can drive people, not to your department and the programming, but to the other departments. I think that's an easy.
Is it something
thing
that
to
should
add
be
into
shared, from a budgetary standpoint, among the departments that are using it too?
So yeah, I get that. Primarily, it is still our content. The other departments kind of probably have 2 pages each in the brochure.
Yeah, they don't
Out
care.
of the
Public
out
Works
of the
maybe has
20-something
yeah,
that I publish.
nothing.
Well, but I mean, if we're editing it and doing it, you know, go big or go home. I mean, if it's the whole thing, we need to tell send those messages, because the website improved some things on with the new website.
Yeah, and we use this as an educational piece too, to drive people to the website.
Absolutely, that's
Well,
what
it
our
doesn't
goal
mean that public
is.
safety can't use it. Does
Exactly.
anything else
I think
to
that's
do it
something-
too. So I'm hearing a little bit more like, don't do it piecemeal now. If we're going to jump in with both feet, because we obviously have 2 years, a couple of years of data. Okay, that wasn't such a great idea. Okay, let's try something different, you know, to do that. And then make sure it's linked between the other electronic processes that we use, including driving people to the new website.
How large are these documents gonna be?
30 pages.
30
typically.
pages.
30
Yeah,
pages.
it's just, they were.
They're almost like what Tara's is,
Yeah,
I would say.
have one printed out.
the old one.
Wow.
And then we have to make sure then, somebody's the editor, somebody pulls it together. I mean, is this gonna,
Well, it's something
We have somebody
There's
that's
still-
an editor right now that does it for us.
Okay.
Okay, so our number that's in there, we feel pretty strongly, it will cover, even if we have to add additional pages and stuff like that. Because the program, the content is there, we're just changing it. So the layout's already there, and so some
I
different
remember,
changes.
yeah, I remember the,
You just want to look at it real quick, what it looks like, yeah.
Holy
And
moly.
then also what can fluctuate too, as the way the programs go, Danielle, with what you're offering, there might be some, one season might have a couple other extra programs than maybe another season.
You're
So
right.
there'd be
Oh,
some space
great.
to fill, so that's where you maybe fill in
Oh,
with
yeah. We can
different
fill
events
it,
that are
there's not a
coming up.
problem there.
Right.
Yeah,
people
there's
go
not a
through, I
problem
know.
there.
but
I have to
Appreciate
cut.
it.
I have to cut to make it in
Yeah, so
and be creative with formatting to make it in the space that's provided.
Yeah, but on the back, you'll see we actually put the recycling schedule in there. We do a lot of different things. It's a good information, so.
well, it's already in here, so
Yeah.
council knows about it.
Just know about, and the one thing that Mr. Stevens brought up to Tara about her telecommunications being higher, it hit me on the head that I have to look at our telecommunications number. It might be slightly increased because of the rec track. Just giving you a heads up. I don't know if it is, I'll let you know. I put a big note in here for me to check.
And Paul, before you get too far away from 4,500, I'm not sure everyone here is up to date on the trail project, grant funding, anything that may surprise us.
I will look at Paul number 1 to let him know our latest.
Okay, that's fine. I mean,
Communication, because, yeah, he can speak of it. Yeah,
well,
please.
What am I speaking of?
trail
develop the
project,
trail, and what we, the latest with Martha Freck. and
so
where
that
we are
nobody
with
gets
that process.
surprised that it's
She's in the
over.
process of submitting it's called a joint permit. It goes to the Army Corps of Engineers and the DEP. It's a process that takes about 10 to 12 months for approval. She's getting prepared to submit that information.
And then now, to everyone else's point too, it was also as a result of a partial grant that we participated in. Could you
Correct.
explain that?
DCNR, we applied for a grant, and it came right before Christmas to Tim, and in 2020?
2020.
I think 20.
I think it was 20, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have 3 years to get the project done with a 2 years extension, so we're,
Our
time-wise,
part
we're
in it
fine.
was, our
200, so the total overall project currently is $494,000. We received $250 from DCNR. The agreement was for council to help fund the balance of that with 250, let's say 250, to make it 500,000.
Is that the project where they want to put a bathroom in a floodplain?
Yeah, but
Don't want it-
we're addressing all those issues.
Thank you.
So we had
I know about the Texas thing, I remember that story too, but yeah.
And also too, and this is, we're getting off track here, but then recently the county's put $21 million towards connecting the
Yes. that just
Westmoreland
happened.
Heritage Trail that just happened to the Great Allegheny Passage.
Yeah, so they just passed it, where they're gonna connect where Homestead Works is, come across, help me with the bridge, the
By the Cary,
works, the
by the Cary,
Cary furnace.
the hot
They're
rubber
gonna
bridge.
use the old Cary furnace bridge, they're gonna redevelop that.
Right.
Come
create
through the Mon
that,
Valley and
Come off, and then it's gonna come through Braddock, Turtle Creek, Warmerding, Pitcairn.
Meanwhile, that goes up the other side
Yeah.
and goes across to McKeesport.
Yeah, it goes all the way to
So
Pittsburgh
it's
and
going to
all that.
split off right there in Whittaker. It's actually Whittaker right there.
Yeah.
actually.
But we've held the money, the idea, the money, because we committed to it in the grant.
Yes.
So I don't want everybody to have chest pain.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's a $250,000 expenditure.
Correct.
That shows up,
Yes,
even
sir.
though the previous councils, we
Yeah.
we sequestered that money
Good point.
for the grant. That's really the point
Yeah.
that I want everybody to not be surprised about for the size of the project, so.
We'll try to push through
Which to
these.
be awarded the grant we have to do.
That was correct.
Yeah, that was
That's
part of
correct.
it.
That is correct. At the time, the grant was in place too, so that was the only reason I was bringing it up.
4,600, we'll just go through quickly. The amphitheater performance here was amazing. Again, we did have 2 rainouts. We were able to reschedule one. Unfortunately, the other one, we tried to reschedule twice. And it was rained out for both. It was actually Danielle's pet that she wanted to do, but it was a folk group, but we're gonna reschedule them in
Ran into it the other
2023.
day.
Thanks to the Public Works staff, Monroeville Park East, the disc golf has been completed, less the concrete pads. Camp Chippewa was a program that Danielle got back. She's talked briefly about that, and then she can also talk to you real quickly about the special events and Halloween Trail. We'll highlight that one and try to move forward here.
Yeah, Camp Chippewa, we were on a 2-year hiatus with COVID. We brought it back this year. We made some major changes. It was usually a standalone camp that took place at Monroeville United Methodist for special needs individuals in our communities. We moved it to the park, which there were some logistical issues with that. Heat and special needs individuals needed to be taken into consideration, and we made some adaptations for that. But what was really positive about it was it was included with our other camp, which is Camp Touch the Earth. And it was really nice to see the cooperation between both camp members. And I think it benefited across the board, the kids who attended Camp Touch the Earth and the individuals with special needs who attended Camp Chippewa. Chippewa ran for 6 weeks, and we had over 300 registrations for it. They went on field trips with Camp Touch the Earth to various community places, Kennywood, the zoo, Idlewild, that kind of stuff on Thursdays, and then on Fridays, they went to Garden City Community Pool swim complex, and they joined our Touch the Earth students, campers as well. As for special events, we did our usuals, the Easter egg hunts, National Kids to Parks Day. We added in a new one called a Disney Sing-Along. We piggybacked that off of the Foundation's Community Day. And it was a huge success and so much fun, and definitely has room to grow and improve in the future. and we plan to do it again. Very well received by our community members. We just finished our Trail of Treats. We had 19 vendors who handed out treats and decorated their trunks along the trail in the park. It was pretty magical, in my opinion. And we had a really cute costume contest. Councilman Poach was one of our judges.
You asked two colorblind guys to judge the colorful contest.
Yes.
Let's think
Yeah.
let's think this through in future years.
Well, I had two non-colorblind
That was the reason. Yeah, that's the reason. Trust me.
Also,
Yeah,
I like to
We'll
include,
just do the cupcakes.
I like all ability levels to participate.
Oh, thank you so much. I was the ADA compliant judge. Okay, great.
Yeah, but it was sweet. It
We had
was
close to
sweet.
400 kids and around 750 people came.
Yeah, and
Oh, I
it's
know.
one of-
Yeah, it
it's
was-
definitely
it
one of
was-
the hardest jobs, picking who wins those costume contest prizes, because they're so darn cute. We have the Santa and Friends Adventure coming up again. It's gonna be a drive-through again, with holiday-themed things in Monroeville Community Park West. That was really successful last year. We're gonna continue it. We have another council person who may, bring Santa Claus in for us,
Oh, no, it has to be
Mr.
secret.
Hizzy. Always a good time.
I was gonna switch with Eric.
Yeah, always a good time.
Hey, you already started the.
And then we
you're getting
are
ready
in
for December.
preparations for our holiday light contest and the letters to Santa, that we facilitate.
You're getting nothing.
Because we're a North
getting cold.
Pole satellite here at Monroeville Parks and Rec. Community outreach, we have definitely done a lot of fun things this year. We supported Monroeville Community Day, with our Disney sing-along. Went to Monroeville Night Out, provided the recreational activities there, and provided spin art at the Monroeville Library Fun Fest. We're always happy to promote our department and what programs we have running and support any other community organizations. New this year, we started a partnership with Gateway School District, and we're offering after-school recreational programming in elementary schools. We piloted it this fall in University Park Elementary, and we're currently in Cleveland Stewart Elementary. And we offered something called Monster-tastic, which was our Halloween-themed event where we made a Halloween craft, a monster slime, watched a monster movie, and played some monster games. It was a big hit. And then we have 4-week programs of Mad Science, which is a fun experimental way for the kids to learn about different science topics. And we just started our first of the 4 sessions at Cleveland Stewart, and we're hoping to be in contact with the other 2 remaining elementary schools, public elementary schools, as well as the private one in our area, and see if we can expand in. The children are registered by a parent or guardian. A fee is paid to cover the cost of the program, and they stay at their school after school and are released into our program's custody and then released back to parents when it's done. It's been really good to facilitate participation, because parents and kids are so busy now that if it's an evening program, it's harder for parents to run kids there and back and only have an hour in between. So kind of piggybacking off the school day and extending it has really been a great pull of participation in our recreational programming. And we hope to just, one, expand it to the other schools, but continue to offer different programs at the existing ones as well.
How much is the fee for the,
Yeah, so for Mad Science, it's $65 for 4 weeks. And for Monster-tastic, it was $20 for 1 day, but it was a longer period that day.
and that's all goes to the school, or?
Us.
Yeah,
It's
us.
completely us.
School district provides us everything, we
The
don't pay for
facility at
anything.
no
They don't
cost.
pay for the facility?
No,
No.
And
no,
so they
they've just
should.
been really,
I said that out loud.
yeah, they've just been really
No, we haven't.
helpful and accommodating in this partnership, because they know we're both working for the kids in the community. So it's been really positive.
Well, there was an intergovernment deal made with the salt
Oh,
a
okay,
few
good,
years ago, so
good.
Obviously.
it kind of works out.
It's a blessing.
Finish up here, 4,600. If you look at this is what I wanted to show you, that some of this belongs in 3,600. If you guys look at 367,140 on page 44,
Of revenue.
you see the revenue side of it. It's actually 62,783. That's what we brought in for picnic pavilions, but that actually should be split between 3,365 and 4,600, so we'll get it. So we're very successful in that. And also the beer permits, we only projected to bring in 4,000. It says 10,670 on 367,400. Again, part of that should be over 3,365. So we're doing fine with the revenue side of it and covering our costs there. From an expenditure standpoint, very quickly, we are looking at we need to look at the lights at the amphitheater that's come up here within the last few months, unfortunately. Dana, does such a fabulous job over there for that, and we are so blessed to have him to help us, and also with Jared and what he does for us now. That amphitheater is really starting to grow, and we're still going to do a lot more activities between weddings and graduations for little kids, and it's really expanding besides what we already do there. The lights that are there are antiquated. We can barely find parts, we barely found enough lights to cover this year, but they're going to go. So it's something I want to bring back up on capital improvements if we have to. It's a $50,000 number to replace the LED lighting there. I mean, the lights there to LED. We know what LED does. It's going to reduce our electricity. It's going to have a longer life on it. It's a great opportunity for us to do it, and we've gotten quotes to do this. We really need to get it done. We could probably get through this year, but I would like to add it on to the capital improvement project once that comes out. I'll let you guys know that, if we can somehow get it on there.
You have it in the capital?
No, I don't, and it has to be added in there.
Honestly, I thought we,
There is no lighting in there for it.
What
thought
we
it was
just
in the capital.
faced
We talked
is
about it.
that the lighting we have is now obsolete, so
Yeah.
securing light bulbs is incredibly hard to do, and the cost is just increasing
we've been
exponentially
talking about
for
it for
that
2
as
years.
well.
Yeah.
We would love to find
And
the
we
money
can't
now if we
replace
could.
it.
If you can give me the money now, we'd appreciate it. But I have a bigger ticket item that I really need to talk about first.
What's your name?
But, yeah, yeah.
If you can find
Lead
out
with the
that.
big one.
It's about the same value, $50,000. It's something we've been working through here for the last probably 6 months. We've really been trying to find ways to find coverage cost for this $50,000 comprehensive plan. Our comprehensive plan is year 2000. What's not in here? The community park. So there's a bunch of things here, and what's happening right now, with the help of Public Works staff, Paul, and especially Mike, in the capital improvements, we're trying to ask to do a park a year for the next 5 years. What are the people who are applying grants for, what are they asking for? They want an updated comprehensive plan. It's around $50,000, $35,000 to $50,000. All we're gonna do is update this. We're not gonna go through the whole, interviewing people and that. We just need to get this updated and bring it up to code where we are right
So you're on
now.
at 02?
2000.
And this comes up at the
I was a minor.
Parks and Rec Board every other month or so. It is something that really, I think it's money well spent, because a lot of people that are giving out grants are looking for a comprehensive plan. So really, if you think about it, if we're spending $50,000 on a comprehensive plan, you get 2, 3, 4 grants, it pays for itself. I mean, I do think it's a very wise thing for us to do.
Just so you know, the problem is just real quick, Bob, come January 14th, we just had a DCNR meeting today. There's a period from January 14th to April. If we want to apply for any grant for any park, we won't see that grant until October. But we can't apply for it until we have this updated comprehensive plan. They want that.
They want it updated.
Yes, sir.
People that
Yes, sir.
does the grant money.
Yes, sir.
And I think what
We
Mike's,
get
Because we
points.
have one.
yeah.
It's just antiquated.
Right.
Very much
So I
so.
think that they're looking for, what,
Yeah.
5 to 7 or 10 years. That's the look-back period that they're looking.
So is this,
There was a DCR, was there not you guys attended a workshop on this. I know
Yes,
it
sir.
was forwarded to all of us, is why I saw part of it. So is your sense that, given the federal funding that's gone in and across the state, is DCNR thinking like they're going to have, the funding's going to be more
Oh,
substantial?
there'll be funding, there's going to be funding there. I mean, there definitely is.
Well, let's talk about,
It's-
we were talking about pickleball courts before, so if it's a
Sure.
large project,
Sure.
okay, it's like, as opposed to years, those grants have been, get new trash cans and kind of fix your.
Yeah, so
your-
our minimum is, it has to be a 60K project,
Okay,
minimum.
all right.
And third of that needs matched, but we were learning all about it today. Paul already knew, but it was new to me. But, I mean, we can match it in labor for certain things.
Sure.
So it's not all a cash match. So,
You've briefed this in the past, Paul,
Yeah,
and
and-
that's what's coming back to me about it.
Yeah.
I just,
And Tim directed me here a couple months ago there's a DCNR grant that was currently in play. It was a minimum of $100,000. Well, this is only 50, so we couldn't apply. Talked to Adam Mattis, who Tim and I know, and it didn't qualify. But he feels like this really is important moving forward. Realize we're asking for 250 in the capital improvements. The overall project, we're predicting $500,000 because we're hoping to get a $250,000 to match our capital improvement at 250. That's how much these playgrounds and the upgrades are costing
So
us.
to Dennis's point, it's money.
Yes.
I mean,
It's gonna
in
make,
one
it's gonna make
project.
itself up.
Okay.
I think it'll make itself up.
So with these kind of things, so, I mean, I know it's budget hearing and stuff, but so Tim, these things typically, we go out to bid for this and we get applicants that
This is a
firms.
professional service.
Or RFP, technically an RFP, yeah, you go up for RFP.
So can we put, outside of this budget hearing, can we put this on Tuesday's meeting? or
Wednesday.
Wednesday's meeting to discuss this, to see if we want to go to an RFP? Forget the money for now, because we can get the RFPs back, and then council can decide, okay, what, is it coming in at 30, is it coming in at 80, what's it coming in at? And then we can make the decision. I don't think that has to be a budget issue for 2023. I think it's something we should start moving on.
Sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'd like to move on because it's going to take 3 months to get it done.
Right.
So if
And the
we do-
RFPs are gonna take some time even to get them back, and then to interview
Yeah.
the
And
firms.
just so we know, just so you know too, that if Adam told me, if he knows we're working on it and we put it as part of the grant, that, hey, it's being
It's in
worked on,
progress.
it's in progress, that's okay.
Who did that one, the last one? 22?
Patrick, Patrick. And I
so they-
did get a price from them. Whoa, sorry.
Yeah, because they did our joint comprehensive
Exactly,
plan
they did that
most
too.
recently.
Yes, yeah.
And the bike,
Yeah, the
And
joint
the
one
act-
with
That was
Wilkins and.
combined with the
Yeah.
active transportation plan, all in
Transportation
the same
plan,
with
right.
Wilkins and Churchill, so.
So if you guys would be willing to put that on for discussion, that'd be
years
great,
old,
because
I
we, like I said, I know Dr. Dennis about this, we really need it, we need to move forward with it in order to move forward with the grants that Mike and I are working so hard on to try and figure out what parks we're going to fix up, and that'll come underneath the capital improvement project when we get together, when Paul presents.
So Tim, can we get that under motions for Wednesday?
Yeah, sure.
Very good.
Finally, just again, 4,700, nothing's changed in our budget, revenue, or expenditures. Again, we're good to go. We don't have anything more than that. I mean, we took up enough of your time because, again, we
Yeah.
know that you guys are gonna need a break before the next guy, so.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, we just all looking at break.
She ready for a break? She
Yes.
also knows what's coming,
Uh,
so,
Council, any questions for Parks and Recreation, or Recreation and Parks?
thank you. Sorry we took so long.
No, great job. Keep
All
up the
right,
good work.
thank you very much.
Good job.
All right,
And
thanks.
we're gonna take a 5-minute recess.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. This budget hearing is back in session. We're moving on with our department heads. Paul Hugus, Public Works, Engineering, Building, and Community Development Departments. Paul, good evening. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I laid at your seats, there's 3 documents. First document you'll see is your organizational chart. If you look at the organizational chart, it'll give you the names of each individual, what department they're in, the department number, and the page number in your budget. So if you want to reflect of who's in what department, you can see by page number where they're at, okay? The second document I gave you is an 8.5 by 11 sheet. We'll be discussing 20 departments tonight. If you look at it on the left side, you'll see the department number, the department description. The next column is the full-time employees. The next column is the part-time employees. Those part-timers is either part-time refuse and/or boards and commissions, whether it's a zoning hearing board or planning commission. The next column is the 2023 budget revenue. The next column is the 2023 budget expense. The next column is the 2022 budget expense. And the last column is the difference between the 2022 and 2023. The green highlighted areas are changes for the good, the red, the bad, for all those
I see more
departments.
bad there.
I'm sorry?
I see more bad.
Yes,
there.
there is. I'm probably that guy that's gonna spend all the money. So if you look at the totality of all 20 departments,
I'm gonna nose.
it's about a 5% increase between 22 to 23. The third document that you have is another 11 by 17 sheet of paper. and it breaks down each individual department that we're gonna talk about. And again, what is on here is the items that I can control. It does not have salaries, benefits, health care, longevity. They're the items that I can control within reason. If there, you can see some of them have highlighted no changes to them. Again, the red is the increases, the greens are the decreases. In the left column under department, you have the department number. Department description is annexed with the description number, or the language. The 2023 expenditures with the page number, so you can go to your pages, Joe. And the next column is the revenue, and you can look to see the page numbers reflect on that also. I guess the general comment as we go through all this, I know that you already talked about gasoline, oil, and lubricants. You'll probably see that on every one of my expenditures. You know, it's one of those items that, you know, I understand we don't have a crystal ball. You know, from my perspective, everything has increased in price. My 2022 budget, as Tim and Josie remind me, is pretty much gone already. You know, with the increase in prices for materials, you know, catch basin grates and frames, concrete products, stone, asphalt, plastic pipe, fertilizer, grass seed, topsoil, you know, vehicle parts, everything across the board, tires. Tires are up 40 to 50%. You know, with our large trucks, the steer tires on the large trucks are $800 to $900 a piece. We go through a fair amount of them, especially on the refuse trucks. You know, so as you go through, you're going to see those are the typical line items you'll see in each department that has increased in price. Okay, any questions with the handouts I gave you? All right, so we could start in Department 2300, which is the fire building code enforcement supervisor, if you will. Under expenditures, there's only one item, and again, that's the gasoline, oil, and lubricants. That's the only item that, and again, it was doubled from the 2022 budget. On the revenue side, there was no changes. I will tell you, this is where the lion's share of the revenue is for the whole building department. When we talk about building permits, occupancy permits, things of that nature, that's where it's located in this revenue section. We are currently efforting to compare our costs to other communities. We do it every so many years. From a building permit standpoint, it's kind of difficult to do that because everybody formulates their own building permits, that there's no uniformity across the Commonwealth. Everybody does it separately. We do it based on gross floor area. So we've been the benefactors the last couple of years from the big boxes, Evergreen Apartments, Fox Plan Apartments. We're coming up pretty soon on the Old William Penn Apartments, the Clover Communities Retirement Home, or senior living, if you will. You know, so when you get those big boxes, they mean a lot for your revenue income. Now, you do have a lot of homes getting built at Maple Crest. They're not going to generate as much money, but, you know, again, we're looking at 135 of them in totality. So that's where, you know, those numbers, when you look at the 5-year history, sometimes those numbers get skewed because when they built BPMI, it was a big box. When they built UPMC East, you know, that skewed that 5-year curve up dramatically. You know, so it takes a few years for that to come back down. And of course, you know, you got the VA hospital. That was another big dollar item. So it's hard to look in your crystal ball for next year. You know, we know that we've been talking to some developers and we think there's things that are going to happen, but you just don't know at this point. So, any questions about the revenue or expenses? Okay. The next item is 2350. There is no revenue in that specific department.
What page is that on, Paul?
Oh, which one, Mike?
In the budget book.
2350, if you look at this, Mike, it tells you the page number we're going to be on. It's the expense
45.
page 45. expense, page 45. The only item that I listed in here, again, is gasoline, oil, and lubricants. There's nothing else other than healthcare and salaries that has changed that I can control. Gasoline and oil lubricants was doubled in cost. Questions about that?
Counsel, questions?
I think you're not there yet, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Seminar and expenses went up $8,000.
Which line item?
You're under 3,200?
Yeah, we're not there yet, Mr.
Okay, I'll wait.
Okay, any question about 2350? Okay, the next one would be 3200. There is a revenue section on page 39. There's no changes to that specific department. And we could look at
Is that from recycling?
no, the revenue
Cancel.
section at 3200 is the scrap metal. We do get, it fluctuates. The scrap metal comes from the old sign blanks, old sign post, a lot of things out of the vehicle maintenance, rotors, springs, things of that. We will scrap metal that and take that money. So the expenditure part is on page 51. Mr. Stevenson.
Okay, I'll try again.
Yes, sir.
430, 460 is seminar expenses. It was 10,000 in '22. It's now 18,000.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering why.
Okay. If anybody of you have got your CDL license lately,
Mine hasn't
in
turned over.
February of this year, the federal motor carrier changed the laws that you cannot just go challenge the test to get your CDL. You have to go through an approved organization, training school, technical school to get your CDL license. If you have a regular driver's license, a Class C driver's license, and you want to go get a CDL, which is your Class B in this case, it will cost you about $3,500 to do that. So if you want to go get a CDL job somewhere, you have to go to R2 that we would use, would be the community college or all state training. It's $3,500. If you want to go get your Class A, which is a tractor trailer, it doesn't matter if you have a CDL already, it's $5,000 per person. And there's a required classroom and driving part of it. It's $5,000 a person.
Do we as a municipality pay for people to get those licenses?
We do. It's part of the union contract.
Okay.
It is. And the more important one is, what I put in here is the Class A, which is the tractor trailer,
Right.
actually. Because we may have some attrition this year where those people will be retiring. And I need to have some more people because we do need those types of licenses. So that's why the increase was because of the Class A, the Class C to B, and then there's a third option here too. If you get your Class B now, there's a manual transmission endorsement or an automatic transmission endorsement. We have a lot of people that have their automatic transmission endorsement because it's the path of least resistance. The normal route is coming from the refuse department into Public Works, and they get their automatic. Now you're in Public Works, and we have a fair amount of manual transmissions. To do that, it's $200 per person to get that. That's why the large increase.
Thank you, Mr. Yugas.
Yes, sir.
And we probably just should have titled that under something different, because instead of seminar expenses,
Well,
you know.
I mean, but that's just how there's really no other classifications other than if you want to put it under contract services, but it's.
If there's a training probably, Josie.
Right.
Right, well, we could add a
I mean, just
Yeah,
look
yeah,
at it,
yeah,
it looks
the
like
line
seminar,
items.
like,
Yes,
that's why
I agree.
questioned
Yeah,
seminar.
absolutely.
no
Looks like
problem.
somebody's going on a junket.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah, if you
Oh, this
want to tell me what type
Yeah.
of explanation, we could change that.
Sure,
Training.
How about education?
Yeah, training.
it could be training. I'm
For
sorry?
About
education.
education.
Yeah.
Well, Paul, you haven't used any this year from the 10,000. I guess you plan on taking some of these guys.
We have been trying to, it has been very difficult to get contact with the I wanted to go to the community college. It's close to us, very close to us, obviously. And you have to get the program approved through the state and the federal motor carrier to even conduct those classes. And CCAC was very slow in responding to us. So I had some money in there, and that's why I wanted to use, but they still haven't had their program up and running yet. And not only is it up and running, they're very inundated with other applicants. But it's so convenient for us, that's where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
How many applicants do we have?
Well, what I have in the budget is 14. 2 for the Class A, 7 for the Class B, and 5 from the manual to the automatic.
Okay.
Automatic to manual.
Yes, correct. Anything else?
I'm good to 26.
Might get put to work.
All right, anything else on 3,200?
No, sir.
All right, we're gonna move to 3210, which is the snow and ice removal. Now, there was a very large increase in snow removal materials. As like everything else, the price of salt went up. And we go through the SHACOG for our salt purchases every year. It went from $83 a ton to $92 a ton. This year, we used up as much money that I could in the budget to purchase the salt at $83 a ton. So we actually have 6,500 tons in the salt dome now, and we have 2,000 tons on the pad, covered with a tarp. We saved about $50,000 by doing that. It's not the most convenient thing to do, as Mike knows, but, it was a money savings, plus we know we have salt, because you may have a problem getting the salt when you want it now, just because of the transportation reasons.
We have, I'll say contracts, that might not be the right word, with the state and the county
That's correct.
and the school. Have we increased their amount to come to us because of this increase?
The county and state already give you a predetermined formula, and that is reflected in the revenue section of snow and ice.
Which is where?
Over here on the far right.
On the far right, 65,000.
Right.
Okay.
It's on the revenue section, page 40. Now, that amount did go up. If you look in the green there, it went up by $4,872. Because they changed their formula for that also. Now, we do not charge, I keep track, but I do not charge the school district.
It's about done.
We do charge Forbes Trail. We do not charge the municipal authority, but I keep track of all those.
Why don't we charge the school?
Well, Tim, you want to answer that?
Well, about 10 years ago or so, there was an issue that came up about the different classrooms that we used up there for the Park and Rec, or the different programs that we utilize the school for.
And the courts, like the basketball courts and
Exactly.
Gymnasium.
Swimming pool.
gymnasiums.
Swimming pool and things of that nature. So there was a meeting of the minds, so to speak, and one of the things that, a governmental entities, political subdivision entities, what we decided was, and it was that way, I think it was that way, where we left it the way it was, where, okay, we're not going to charge them for any salt. And there was other things in there too, and we weren't going to charge, they weren't going to charge us for any of the rental of the classrooms, because this all started, I think it was in 2011. And it all started because it came up at a school board meeting about renting the facilities to different entities. that came in the evenings. And then obviously, we got into the mix, and it said, well, we weren't being charged anything. But it was left, in actuality, and if I remember the numbers, it was a pretty good deal for us that we were using part of their facilities for mostly the park and rec, and we did some salting up there. I think it was a good deal for us. Because they put in what the janitor's cost was per hour, and, because they were doing that because, we got involved in the mix of charging other people. Or we charging the other people coming in and using the auditorium, for instance, and classrooms and things of that nature. And it came up at a school board meeting. I'm pretty sure it was in 2011.
So we don't charge them for the salt, but we also do winter maintenance on Gateway Campus Boulevard, which is a private road. It's owned by the school district.
But we also drive salt trucks to the library
And
and the Senior Citizen Center.
Right.
So
So
we're servicing
talking,
taxpayers in general.
So we're-
But we should probably, sorry, Bob.
we're talking, we're not charging for the salt, but we have maintenance, we have drivers, we have equipment, we're paying them to do that. Is that figured in at all?
Yeah, that was all
That was
back in
all
11.
calculated in
11
also?
years ago, that was all figured, and quite frankly, Bob, we were doing okay with.
And the footprint, compared to 12 years ago, would you say the footprint's gone down because of schools that we were doing before?
I would think yes, but I don't know.
I mean, Gateway Campus Boulevard serves both because two of our facilities are off of it.
Right.
Okay, we got that one.
Right.
Stuff too, but they've since consolidated. So what else are we doing of the schools?
Well, they may be using less salt because they have less parking lots to do.
Maybe that's a better way to ask the question, is so have we reduced the space that we're providing service on? If so, then we're even further ahead, even with inflation, right, Tim?
And I thought, Eric, I thought you were talking about the space we were using, and that's been lessened. We don't use as many facilities.
Oh, not even that, no, I was talking about what we're doing on those in exchange for the use or access of the pool, of the facilities.
Can we take another look at that?
Sure.
Yeah, it might be
Mike
time to
got it.
reevaluate those
It's been 10
costs.
years, so, it wouldn't hurt to revisit it.
And at least, in whether, if we decide to do this, it'd be nice, we could remind the school district and let them know where our costs are at. And that's something we could bring up in intergovernmental meeting.
Thank you.
Okay?
Next item.
All right, next item would be street lighting, no revenues, obviously. The expenses on page 55. Nothing was changed there.
Are those street lights getting
Those-
cheaper with the LED lights going in?
No,
I can't answer that question because I don't see those
Bills?
invoices. I don't know if it's changed or not.
but there is one part of that, Bob, too, where when we've been involved in the LED program for a couple of years, we're only allotted so many per time to be able to do that, at which point, and I know we were on Tim, myself, I forget who else was on it, with a call with service provider at the time, and they said, okay, you have X number that you can add this year. Now, we've been able to, if other people don't use their allotted LED lights, we've been able to say, oh, okay, we'll take those. But we get a flat, on the street
Right,
lights,
it was
it's a flat number.
$111 per light, and it was 10 per year.
Yeah.
But that program has since gone by.
Even worse then.
Duquesne Lights is in the process of changing everything over to LED.
Right.
At not our expense.
Correct, yeah.
Well, it is our expense.
It is our
in a
expense,
way.
but not, yeah, so we're not getting any.
But we're
picture
not
advantage.
having to pay them that dollar figure.
Yeah, and this number stays steady because essentially streetlight cost bill is a flat number. It is what it is, whether we have them on daylight savings, 10 hours versus 12 hours versus 8 versus whatever, makes no difference, which they have control over, so not, which is unfair.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, next one is street maintenance. It is budget code 3250 on page 57. Again, the ones that I could control, the overtime was reduced by $5,000. Gasoline, oil, and lubricants obviously went up. Telecommunications, went up, as well as, this is one thing I told Josie and Tim. You'll see this periodically, the drug testing / physicals. You know, I had made a suggestion, instead of it taking out of the random test, you don't know who's going to be selected, so you don't know which department for it to come out, and it's very random. Sometimes you have 3 out of 1 department, sometimes you have 9 out of 1 department. You should probably just take and just put that in 3,200, just whatever that dollar value is, put it in 3,200 and just charge it to one department. It'll be easier for all of us than try to pick it out of each individual one.
The street maintenance, that include the paving program?
No,
No.
no, sir, that's a capital. Any questions with 3,250?
No, sir.
All right, next is 3,260, which is parks maintenance on page 59. Again, there's increases here. Again, as I talked about in the very beginning, agricultural supplies, cleaning and sanitation supplies, gasoline and oil lubricants, painting supplies, lumber and wood, and the rental of the porta-johns. I mean, all those we kind of talked about already, that they're just products that cost a lot more.
For every department,
What is agricultural supplies? What is it?
Fertilizer, grass seed, topsoil.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mulch.
Mulch.
We make our own.
Any questions about that?
Should have.
No?
We used to give it away.
Okay.
Right.
We interrupting you?
No, speaking of mulch and agricultural supplies, we used to give that away. We don't do that anymore.
Leaf
We-
mulch, absolutely.
Oh,
We
we
have a-
still do?
We have a bin out front. It's, we keep it stocked for the residents.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I wanted them to know that. That's
Okay.
why I asked the question.
As opposed to decorative.
Put a sign on it now. Free mulch.
I got a lot of leaves you can have for there.
The next one is 3,270. Signs and markings. So this is the signs that we make for the traffic signals, the roads, stop signs, speed limit signs, children at play signs,
Don't park here signs.
all those signage.
They're all red.
Well, the overtime's been reduced, and the rest of them are red, yes. And again, it's the same categories. It's the gasoline, it's the paints. Sign blanks have went up tremendously. You'll see that again when we do our commodity bids in February, March, April-ish. You'll see the price of those go up. We bought as much as we could off the old commodity bids because they were less cost. So we bought, Josie didn't like it because we spent a lot of money right at the beginning of the year. But we got as many as we could under the old price. But we got a peek of what the new prices are. So that's how we kind of concluded what these prices are going to be. Hardware, telecommunications, electricity, equipment repair and maintenance, and rental of machinery and equipment. Any questions about that? Okay, next item is, if I'm rushing, let me know.
Doing great.
Okay,
No.
Go.
You're doing
All
fine.
right, refuse collection is 3,320. On page 63. Item there, the only item that was increased was obviously the gasoline, oil, and lubricants, and it was doubled in cost. That was the only item that was changed. Okay, next one is, questions, concerns? Okay, next one is vehicle, equipment, and maintenance, and this is, bless you.
Bless you there, bud.
This is a big one. A lot of red here. And again, it all is the cost of products. Not only the cost, if we can get them, that'd be great. So the gasoline, oil, and lubricants was increased, motor vehicle parts, tires was a big one. Telecommunications, equipment repair and maintenance, automobile repair and maintenance contract services. Contract services, Tim, Josie, that's why I put this comment on the right side. After your meeting with Chief Cole, he put some information in my mailbox for me to bring up. This goes back to your hybrid cars. You know, we've had to send those guys through training, specific training, buy them specific tools. We still have to buy some more tools for them. We still have to send them through some more training because they're different animals. But this cost, it's a $6,200 one-time fee and $1,300 a year. That one-time fee is software and a computer that we have to purchase so we can communicate with the cars. And then after that one-time $6,200, then it's $1,300 a year after that.
So is Cole gonna pay for that, or?
Well, no, he gave me,
That was generous of him.
It was nice when you put it in your
that's
mailbox.
what I thought. It was nice of him.
It's part of a car.
Okay.
Right.
Part of a car.
He got through his so easy, he says, here, you do it.
And that is really only for the hybrid police cars.
It is mainly for the hybrid, but we can use them on the other new Explorers that have been coming in. So it is a dual use.
Okay.
Correct.
Got it.
Seminar expenses was increased, and here's why. I'm waiting a call back from the MAC headquarters in Allentown. You know, trucks in these days, like everything else, are big computers. We have one gentleman, one mechanic, heavy mechanic now, he went through, he was on a track to be a master Mac mechanic before we hired him. But the other two heavy mechanics, I'd like for them to start going to those courses also to get them up to speed. But it's in Allentown, and I'm waiting to hear back. They cater more to big companies that are Mac-only trucks in their fleet. Now, we have a lot, we're getting more, so I'm hoping to get those guys in and get them trained up. That's my goal. Okay, any questions about that?
Is what it is, we're stuck.
Next.
Well, I
next-
see that your garage equipment, you're gonna use like 3,000 for this year, and it's budgeted for 16.
Yes, I'm holding off till the end of the year. We need to replace some items, some hand tools that are in the garage, Mike. I don't like doing that till the very end in case something goes haywire.
Send the boys Christmas shopping.
You know how that goes. Well, you know what the problem is the air compressor is not in exactly the best shape. So if that air compressor goes, it's gonna be a big dollar item. Typically now you get, they're screw compressors. They're a lot quieter, a lot
Yeah.
more efficient. But unless you need it, I don't wanna buy one because they're pretty expensive.
Go see Santa Claus down the other end of the room.
All right, next item is recycling
We got wrenches.
on Department 3400. The revenue side of this, on revenue page 41, we typically get about a $27,000 grant for that. I think last year, the reason this is skewed is last year's budget did not have that figure in it. But this year's does. So if you look at the revenue section, you'll see that's why it's so much different. Let me see. Yes, last year's budget was 2,500, and this year's 27,545. That's because of the grant. And then gasoline, oil, and lubricants, again, is just a double of last year. Next one's the animal control.
1 second, Paul.
Yes.
Judge, I see in the book here, on the salaries and employees, you only have 66,000.
Here, that, you
Um,
want me to explain?
Go ahead.
Okay, so the refuse department, the refuse truck right now has one public works employee and one refuse department employee. So that's why it
The
reflects.
recycling truck, you mean?
Yeah, the recycling truck. Once that individual comes off the recycling truck, both of those people will be refuse department. Because that's under the new contract, that's how it was organized.
Okay, I just thought it was a typo.
I thought it was a typo also, and I started going through it and I realized what happened. That's actually why if you look under the number of employees, if you see full-time employees under the refuse department, it has 10, not 9, because one of the recyclers is part of that department.
Okay.
Next is animal control, Department 3350 page, there's a revenue page at 42, it's the same. That's the revenue we get for Pitcairn to do any type of animal control there. We just recently sent the invoice down to them, it was actually a little bit more than that, but I have not got it back to verify. And then as far as expenditures is gasoline, oil, and lubricants. Next one is building maintenance, Department 3360, page 71. There are a couple items here. The big one is cleaning and sanitation supplies. You know, when the pandemic hit, everybody was nice enough to raise all their costs for cleaning supplies. We purchased most of the cleaning supplies for not only Public Works, but for this facility also.
So you increased it 7,000?
Yeah, you know, because we also, it's all the cleaning supplies, plus we had to buy that, remember the fad with the mist? You know, you had the backpack blower with the mist, and we cleaned everything, so, yeah, we
Electrostatic.
maintain it. I'm sorry?
Electrostatic.
Yes. Because we were even doing the restrooms in the parks with that.
Not a bad idea.
Okay.
Gasoline, oil, and lubricants, other operating supplies, I know that's another one that's sort of a caveat. And what that is the PPE supplies, personal protection equipment supplies, gloves, masks, safety glasses, safety vest, hard hats, things of that nature. And when we purchase that, that's for the whole department, and for anybody else that wants it. And the last one was the Historical Society. We're in the process of reaching out to companies that specialize in log houses. Because the two historical houses, the McGinley House, Macaulay House, are showing some signs of wear and tear that we really don't know how to treat at this point just because of the nature of the houses. So they're gonna come out and give us some cost on how to refurb them in a better manner. The next one is 3365, which is the community park. I know Paul and Danielle were here, and they talked about the revenue side of things. The expense side of things, again, agricultural supplies, gasoline, paints, painting supplies, hand tools, and building equipment repair and maintenance. You'll see that, I'll beat you to the punch here, Mr. Stevenson. We were planning on replacing some of the entry doors to the restroom facilities because, you know, the park is 20 years? 18 years? So those doors are showing some wear and tear and need to be replaced.
This isn't relevant, but I'm going to say it anyway. Kudos to your people for the bell tower.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if that's been brought up since, but just a marvelous job.
They did a nice job, they really did. It was, you know, it took some thought of how to approach that. We went through a series of ideas of how to approach it, everywhere from bringing in a crane to taking the roof off, to taking a bell out, to, you know, ultimately, you've seen what we did. We put a staging system around the whole bell, jacked the bell up, brought it down, refurbished it, put it back up, painted the bell tower while we were at it.
A lot of scratching and
Looks great.
sniffing.
Speaking of that, Josie, how much do we have in that account from,
That, I think there's
You mean
maybe.
the pool money?
Honey.
Oh, man.
No, I was talking about the money
Just
that, from the Conventions
cut me,
Visitors
do I not
Bureau, and
bleed?
plus the other money the Historical Society raised. I mean,
Yes.
is that virtually?
We haven't, we haven't used that much of it yet. I'm
We
gonna
paid
say
for the
there's
scaffolding,
about-
that was.
Well, we did some other
18.
items in there which may not reflect yet. So we did the bell tower.
Yeah.
We put new carpeting in the sanctuary.
Yeah, that was
We
14 right
refurbished
there.
the exterior stairwell into the basement area. So there has been some more improvements. I don't know if we got all the invoices.
The
in yet.
scaffolding and the carpeting should have taken up the lion's share of that.
Yeah, the scaffolding,
Did
it was
we
not,
get
it was
that
like
yet?
6,500 or $7,000
And
for
then
the
the carpeting
scaffolding.
was 14, I think,
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
remember correctly. And we had about,
Unless when they did the requisition, they didn't charge it right.
I think
I've
we
been
charged
trying
it
to
right,
stay
it
on
just didn't
top
get
of
coded
that.
right.
What did
well, I mean, we should, because if, I'm just thinking of the Historical Society's asking,
Yes.
because we took that
We could,
over.
we kept track of them. We could provide whatever
Yeah.
they need.
All right, okay,
Yeah, I gave him a special account number for all that.
right.
And
About
the last I
30,000.
checked, and I sent an email to Mike, and he said that there was a lot more to come yet. So
There's a
that was
plan.
maybe about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was just curious, that's.
Yeah.
In addition to the bell tower, those guys also rehabilitated the range tower at the shooting range. I don't know if you
Shooting
had an
range,
opportunity to see that yet.
No.
A very nice job. Okay, community development, 5,100. There's a revenue section on page 46, there's no changes to. And then the only expenses, the gasoline, oil, and lubricants. I'll just touch real quick on the revenue section. Yeah, that's another kind of a guesstimate, because you just don't know how many site plans are coming in, or how many subdivision plans, how many conditional uses. You just got to look at the 5-year history and take a stab at it. The consultants was lowered by $18,000. And if you look at the revenue section compared to the expense section, they pretty much balance out. So there's, when we bring in site plans or conditional use applications, we send them to whomever to review. Their costs are covered by the cost that we receive from developers.
You don't need any adjustments there?
No, we're good. Planning Commission, 5,200. Josie, I have a hard time. I can't view that when I'm in AccuFund, by the way. I meant to tell you that. I don't want to do it right now, but I can't get that Department 5,200 in AccuFund.
Really?
Yes. Now, there is a deduction of 13,000 in the Planning Commission, and in past years, the stenography fees came directly out of each department. You'll see it in the Planning Commission and the Zoning Hearing Board. Now, it just falls under the legal services, under the main number, so it won't come out of each so that's why there's a reduction of 13,000 in the Planning Commission and 13,000 in the Zoning Hearing Board.
I was going to go there.
the legal department,
Yeah, we put that under there.
The Department of Law.
Department of Law, that's right, it's Department of
Yeah.
Law.
It's the Department of Law.
The Law Department.
Where, as far as the redoing of the zoning ordinance,
Yes.
so that is, I'm trying to remember what that's under, Paul.
We are at
That should be under contract.
contract services.
That was
Yep, it's 20,000. That was, yes.
All right,
27.
And that it was 27.5 was the
Right.
RFP.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zoning Hearing Board, again, reduction by 13,000, puts us at 6,100, which is engineering. There was a reduction in the overtime. There was a reduction in the architectural and engineering. The gasoline, oil, and lubricants was increased, and there was a reduction in equipment repair and maintenance. Questions?
No, sir.
Okay, 6110 on page 89 of the expenses. The three items that were increased: gasoline, oil, lubricants, telecommunications, electricity.
I have that
That's the-
highlighted, yeah.
That's the electricity for the traffic signals.
From 57,000 to 70,000.
Yeah, it's, if you've seen the electric bill lately, we got 42 traffic signals. Now, we've done a pretty good job in getting most of the signals turned over to LEDs, which obviously reduce electricity costs, but we still have a few signals with, the old incandescent bulbs, so they're not as efficient.
How many do we have, Paul?
Traffic signals?
Yeah, with the,
40
with the incandescent.
I would
bulb.
tell you we're probably still at about 10 intersections.
Yeah,
at
well,
this
they're
point.
redoing this one here. soon.
Yeah, they started Wingate Drive on Monday.
Yeah.
But 43 total intersections.
Well, we have 42 total signals, traffic signals. They started Wingate Drive to replace it. That was the oldest signal that we've had.
Yeah.
So when that's redone, obviously it'll be LED bulbs.
Now, do we do that, or does someone else do that?
We do.
The
We do it.
construction,
No, the change of the bulbs.
it depends if, I'll give an example. PennDOT's redoing Route 22 from the Hall Station Bridge to Route 48 Basic Lows.
Okay.
We've already been in discussion with them. They're going to either replace or upgrade every traffic signal as they come through. We're not putting a whole lot of money into those intersections. There are a few intersections that kind of need some help. Actually, part of the problem that we have is the equipment that we use for our emergency preemption system, Opticom. The stuff that we have in there is antiquated. We can't even buy parts for it anymore. So when they come through, they're putting all new in for us, which would be a huge cost savings.
At their cost.
Their cost. Well, we're paying for it in some way, but
Well,
it's PennDOT's
Can you
project.
talk them into going down Route 48?
We submitted a grant application, a $1 million grant application, which we're responsible for about 200,000 of it, to redo the traffic signal, not every traffic, upgrade the traffic signals and change and do a better job of synchronization from Macbeth to 40, or to 22. There's 7 signals through there.
Is it the same AI learning?
No,
Good, because they.
I don't like it.
They did, yeah, 22 and 48
Yes.
had to go to school like a
Right.
long time.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the traffic adaptive system. The problem is, in theory, the traffic adaptive system, it started at Rhode Island Road and went to Washington Township. The problem is that not everybody maintains their signals. So if you have a traffic signal that's not working right in Wilkins Township, like at the Home Depot, it affects our system. If you have a signal in Murraysville that's not working properly, it affects our system.
It
They
should be-
wanted to
it should
make
be
it a
the
big
intersection.
corridor, but the problem is that the first 5 years of the program, PennDOT paid for maintenance programs through Rhythm Engineering. That's who installed it. 5 years is up. Now you have traffic signals not working properly, and communities are like, okay, it's not working right. Luckily, we have staff that we can make those changes,
But not for them.
not for them.
Since you're on that subject, Paul, same church, different pew. What I'll provide for council, I don't have all the information, probably on Wednesday, it's not in my budget report, is Matt Boyko from PennDOT. I told you this, Paul, and I have to forward you that email we were talking about at our department meeting. They're looking to put in the sidewalks, which is commensurate with our comprehensive plan and our active transportation plan that we have done with Wilkins and Churchill. Sidewalks coming off, I called it the Thompson Run, what's?
Hall Station Bridge.
Hall Station Bridge. I never knew it was called Hall Station Bridge. I always called it Thompson Run Bridge. I never knew
Hall
that.
Station Bridge.
Well, anyways,
Closed
coming
the-
off of
We closed the
there,
Thompson Run Bridge.
up to about where the marquee, the Monroeville Mall marquee is around there. Now, past that, and I'm just being very general here, past that, there's some right-of-way acquisition is very difficult. But Matt did mention in an email that there is a 20% match on doing that. Now, because they're doing it, as Paul said, they're going to be, they're letting out bids in December, I think.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a spring, basically a spring
Yeah,
construction.
okay, so since they're doing that, now is the time to put in the sidewalks that they can put in. And so, and he was asking, I don't know what his conversation was like with Tom Gerber at the mall, but he asked me for his contact information, and I don't know how that went. He hasn't gotten back to me. But the information I do have, I'll provide to you on Wednesday, okay?
Yeah, and if you do
You
that,
made me
then-
think of that, Paul.
Yeah, there's still some gaps.
Yeah,
There's still some gaps on 22. and
I'll put my best sidewalk inspector on it,
you
Very
do that.
You
right
got
there.
it.
That's my man.
And then, Paul, is there any money in any of your budgets for sidewalks in general, as far as if we wanted to,
I don't know how much is in the sidewalk fund, Joe's, do you?
40.
well,
Not much.
but no, I'm sorry, not the sidewalk
40,000.
fund, but is there anywhere in any of the budgets that you oversee
$40,000, I think.
where there is money for sidewalks?
I have not allocated any money for sidewalks.
And traditionally, that's not something that,
No.
okay. But that may be something for council to consider long-term. I know we've talked about the sidewalk, program before, but there are some gaps throughout the community. I know residents, reach out to
Us, all the time.
to council members about different areas. Through our active transportation plan, there was definitely some gaps that are identified. But it might be something worth looking at long-term. Now, certainly, that doesn't need to be going into your budget right now for '23, but might be something for when we revisit with the comprehensive plan again, Parks and Recreation, maybe identify some of these areas and see if we can fill the gap. And I believe a lot of the work could be done in-house if you guys can fit that in, which would reduce the cost to the sidewalks.
Paul,
So you're on board, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great.
Okay. On streetlights and stuff as well, have there not been, you touched on Opticom, and we didn't talk about the increases, the industry-wide increase in that, as well as, I think, license plate readers? Isn't that off the charts as well?
I do not deal with the license plate readers.
Right.
That's,
We do,
That's-
right, but I mean,
Correct.
maintenance thereof.
And the AG's office did the security cameras at the intersections.
yeah.
Right, so we still look after it, though.
No,
No?
we don't do any maintenance on that, no.
Good.
We pay for the electricity.
I think they did tap into the electricity, because they came in and put it in, we didn't even know. They were up there, there was somebody up there in a truck one day working on the traffic signal, and it wasn't our people, and I says, what are you doing?
And
Some money.
the Opticom system, the expense has also been,
Yeah, we try to, when we have these large projects with PennDOT, they do cooperate with installing newer systems. But, the original Opticom system, which was a 3M product.
3M product, changed.
Was an early 90s product. Now, we have shifted from 3M to Tomar, which it's easier for us to get in, it's a little bit cheaper. But, I mean, we do have some areas where we're probably gonna have to start replacing that.
due to
Yes.
age. Right.
Any more questions about traffic signals?
No, sir.
Okay, last one is 4,000, Department 4,000, which is in the special funds on page 7. It is the stormwater
In the
department.
back of the book.
Yeah, back of the book,
Page
special fund 7.
Under special funds.
This goes back to our MS4 program, that we have to comply with our NPDS permit. In the revenue section, it's been reduced. Last year, it was skewed a little bit just because I think there were some more payments that came in at the first of the year that was for the prior year. But for this year, we budgeted $3.3 million of revenue, which is on that. And then as far as the additional expenses, the auditing and accounting was raised by $10,000, and that was for the issue with the single-family dwellings who did not pay in the last 3 years, and we're following up with those. Some small items, gasoline, oil, lubricants, again, that's the double thing. Structural steel, iron, and materials, same thing, the tires, the telecommunications, equipment repair and maintenance, and the automobile repair and maintenance.
Paul,
Yes,
436, 740. an increase of $417,884.
Let me get to my master page here.
600.
Okay, so that was there, Josie, that was how we balanced that into that from that dollar amount.
Right, and that's, what that's for is any equipment that they may be purchasing.
And
And
it's a more of a capital count, so if we have any catastrophic failures with the storm sewers, like a bridge or a culvert, that's where that money would come from.
So this
Yes.
is mixed up with CIP?
Well, I guess we could.
Yes. Well, that was because in the beginning, when you were starting out with that
Right.
fund, that fund was supposed to be self-sufficient, and so they're kind of taking care of their own CIP.
Right,
It wouldn't go under the general fund CIP.
and we also had to repay, there was some seed money taken out of the municipality's general fund also.
Right,
Yeah, that's the 500,000
That's
transfer.
correct, Michael.
right.
Yeah.
Is there enough back to, I'm sorry, Bob, were you done?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry. On 234, 430, for the 6234 asphalt and asphalt products. So that was a challenge to us this past year because the regular, as we looked at the cost of things that increased the supply. Is it enough?
I believe it is. But again, within this account, we kind of, there's enough money there that if you get low, you could just transfer some money over.
And also then.
Because it's, like Joe said, it's self-sufficient.
And we're meeting the demand, we've had the assessment of the things we're responsible for under the permit, things that we're supposed
Correct.
to meet.
Well,
and
that
stuff
permit expires
Soon,
in March of '23.
right.
We are already in the process of renewing it. That renewal application had to be in 6 months prior to the first one expiring, so we were already going down that path. We actually will be having we changed the pollution reduction plan, if you will. The original, we're 5 years into it. We all kind of were on a learning curve. We've changed that. Gateway Engineers has actually done a really, really good job of looking at that and giving us some suggestions on what we should do differently, basically get the bigger bang for our buck. But we changed that PRP plan, but under DEP's rules and regulations, if you change that plan, it has to be approved by DEP, but it also has to be, we have to have a public hearing and have to have you approve it before we submit it to DEP. So that'll be coming soon.
I mean, again, this is funded by the fees associated.
That's correct.
To that, so that's the question that's in front of us with all the rising
Right.
costs. Are
Well-
we okay where we are?
Yeah, and none of us know what the DEP's next step is going to be. None of us. Us internally, our consultants, not only the consultants we use, but other ones, what the DEP's next round is going to do. They told you in the first round you had to reduce your sediment loading by X amount. Now, what are they gonna make you do? And they're not gonna say, oh, you're done. It's just, they're gonna continue with something else. If not, make it greater.
A question I have.
Yes.
We, being council, just hired new people.
Yes.
For this MS4 project.
Yes.
And my question is, did we hire the right people? Are they doing a good job?
To this point, they're doing a fantastic job.
Good.
Absolutely.
Then we did the right thing.
Yes, sir, you did.
And so far, we're holding the line in terms of our fee structure and
We are, and, back to Gateway Engineers, they represent other municipalities, large municipalities like us, and when they looked at our program, they thought it was a very good program, we're administering it correctly, we're doing the right things. There's some communities that haven't done anything yet, and
Oh, yeah.
we're waiting to see what happens.
I think
Oh, yeah.
most of them.
It's gonna be, well, the bigger ones are, Mike. They really are. The bigger ones are. It's the smaller ones that are not. It almost goes back to the sanitary issue with Penn Hills. You know, Penn Hills put that sanitary issue on, ignore, and then they got a $50 million fine. So I don't think DEP is gonna really concentrate on the little communities. They're looking at the big ones.
Yeah, well, most of them are in valleys,
Yeah.
combination lines.
Right, they're all combos. Right.
A question for probably Tim. This MS4 program, we have some people that have decided that they don't want to pay us. Are we in litigation over a couple of those?
Yeah, we
yes.
are, and,
yeah.
and Bob's handling that,
Okay.
and he's in, we're hopefully on the verge with the mall, you know, and I don't know where the school district is, but with the mall, I think we may, and we keep thinking we may have something worked out, and their attorney is talking to Bob about that.
Okay, thank you.
One more question, maybe for Josie, Tim, or you. The bottom line here, excess of revenue, over or under. I see like in 20, we were 1.7 million. We had it left over, 900,000 left over in 21, 1.9 million in 22.
Josie, you want to take that one?
What?
The bottom line. isn't
What
it?
is
No, I can answer it,
Budget
but
book.
Josie, I thought you'd answer it.
Well, yeah, I can answer it, but I'm not sure what your question is.
I mean, do we have 5 million extra money besides the 3 million we're collecting?
Yeah, that, all of that
Yeah, good.
excess would go to fund balance, and I don't know
That's
offhand.
all, I just wanted to know if that, you know,
Yeah, right.
for the public's view, you know, that there's actual monies that were left over.
No, we don't, Mike, we don't have 5 million.
Well, I didn't know.
No, I mean,
Okay,
'cause
let me
that-
Get my phone out.
No, you don't add those up.
You-
The fund balance changes. What that really, you could say is that is your fund balance. It's your excess revenues, or it would be parenthetical there if it was under. None of it is under. In the first year, we had an excess of close to 1.7. The next year, we had about a little over 900,000. The next year, 1.8.
That's what I-
And
Wait, yeah, so hold that thought, Tim, I'm sorry to interrupt, but.
That's all right.
Just so we're clear, so whenever you say fund balance, you mean the fund balance of the MS4 special fund?
Correct.
Or fund balance of,
Let me clarify fund balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fund balance is not the cash balance. It's not necessarily
True.
the accumulation of your excess revenue because you have liabilities that you have to take away from that also. And I don't know offhand what our number was, it would have
What do
been
you
our
mean
latest thought.
liabilities?
Things you're
Payroll
obligated.
liabilities, I'm not sure, accounts payable, bills
I
that
mean,
are,
it's all budgeted, there's salaries and overtime and everything has a budget line.
but it's, you're looking at a cash basis. What you're not considering, there's like a timing difference. So our last audited financial statements were 12/31/21. At that time, there was accounts payable that would have been a liability based upon some of the expenditures in this actual 2021 column. So not all of those expenditures would have been paid for if we had a bill for them, if we got the bill for them, say, on December 31st, it would be included in that column, but it wouldn't have been paid, so that would be a liability at that particular date.
yeah, but we would
I
receive that.
understand that, you
We
know.
would receive that the following
Sure, you
year.
have a,
But that's what I'm saying, that,
unless the bills that go through December and you're paying into the new year.
so when you're looking at a fund balance, you would take your cash less your list of bills or accounts payable, then that would be what your fund balance would be.
Well, could I ask it this way? If we go to the very first column, the actual 12/31/2020, the very top, we collected 3.35 million total revenue. At the bottom, after our expenses, we have 1.686
Right.
on that column. Okay, so where did that money go at the end of the year?
It goes, whatever's remaining goes to fund balance.
Wait,
So-
I'm sorry, so the fund balance for the special stormwater?
Yes, it's a separate fund. It's all
Okay, so it stays in there.
self-sustaining. It has its own,
Right, and then there will be some expenses that
It's a
kind
sequestered account.
yeah,
Correct. I just
it
wanted to
has
check.
its own cash, own liabilities. Everything's separate.
Mike, the fund balance changes each year, but what Josie's trying to explain, which is kind of on a balance sheet. As she said, this is kind of a cash basis here, and it's a snapshot in time, the same as a fund balance is, it's a snapshot in time. But what Josie's trying to say, that fund balance may have, as she said, liabilities. You haven't paid some people, you have other expenses, and you pay them out of that. But right here at the bottom here, the excess revenue, that's what it was on 12/31/20, 12/31/21. Well, this is at the end of the third quarter, 9/30/22. And that's what we had at that time, cash sitting there, although there's also revenue coming in too. So there's assets and accounts receivables too.
Yeah, well, 500,000 come out of that 1.9 million there in this year. Which right now, it's down to 170,000.
Right, now, what probably brought your eyeball to this whole thing was the goose egg at the bottom of this year of the '23 budget. Correct?
Well, 23 isn't done yet. I
Yeah,
mean,
well, no, I mean, but what's budgeted there is a zero. But to Bob Stevenson's question about the machinery and equipment, more or less it's up there. I would say, instead of having a fund balance, Josie just put it in there in case, as Paul said, in case there is anything to have on machinery and capital outlay. And you usually have a fund balance that could balance it out, but she balanced it out in the machinery and equipment capital outlay.
the reason why I'm asking, just looking at this, if a resident would happen to look at it, they would see total expenses.
No, you're
You know,
right.
and look at
No,
the bottom
I'm
and say,
with
"Look
you.
over there,
Yeah,
what's your amount?"
I'm with you.
Yeah, but it is.
They'd be asking the same question you're asking, I agree.
Exactly, but it is a snapshot.
right.
But we'd have to, really, in the CAFR is where you would get these more specific numbers of how.
And you're right when you're saying that bottom line there, the accumulation of those 3 years would pretty closely approximate what your fund balance and cash balance is. There probably aren't that many liabilities, maybe 500,000 liabilities I'm just guessing, it's not that much though. But I can't tell you that if we add those three numbers up, that's what your fund balance is gonna be at the end of the period.
All right, question answered. One more for you.
You think?
We have, you were talking about equipment, or Tim just brought it up. Did we think about any facility, the training center, to house some of the equipment?
Yeah, but we're still going through those options. Yes.
Because we have some, we were talking about the MS4 equipment.
Yeah, MS4 equipment, yeah, because, as far as space over
Needs a
there.
roof.
Instead of it sitting outside.
Is there a point when that equipment gets shut down for the winter?
No, we use it all year.
You're able to use it, okay.
Obviously, the stuff that's more, it's temperature related, it's got to go inside, but the other stuff has to sit outside.
And then also depending on the winter, we may get some nice days
Right.
where.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But still, it would be better for the equipment to be
Oh,
housed.
to be housed.
Absolutely. Out of the cold and out of the sun.
My, I'm sorry, to interrupt you. Last item I have. I know that it isn't because we haven't been trying, but we need to hire a GIS guy. It's, that GIS person supports every department in the municipality, police, fire, EMS, the storm sources, the public works, engineering, code enforcement. And since he left, we're really starting to feel the effects of it.
The search has been on for one.
I
Yeah,
know.
we're searching,
We're searching.
but we haven't found the right person yet.
We need to find one.
Yes, we do.
And it's budgeted in there for a person?
It's already in there?
Well, it's in there, it's just a vacancy at this point.
Right, but it's actually, the money is there for the position.
I don't know what number is in there.
Yeah.
Is a number in there?
There's a number in there.
Yeah, there's a number, but whether it's the right number or not. Right. That's, I'll still.
Mr. Hugus, do you have anything else?
I do not. Do you have anything for me?
Council, any other questions for Mr. Hugus?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great job.
Well done. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Well, council, so the budget hearing, we do have two more items, Mr. Sedlak, Mr. Little. However, if council, we can do this actually at the council meeting, if Mr. Sedlak, Mr. Little, if you want to wait till then,
Whatever you want to.
because both those budgets are pretty.
So Joe's thinking, why am I here tonight?
No,
No, but Joe,
Table.
Joe, any chance that Mark would have numbers?
I have a few, I got like half of them.
Well, let's do it.
Well, Joe, let's
We'll
do-
do it.
Well,
It's up to you
do
guys,
it.
it's up to council.
Joe, you're here, you're wearing a tie, let's do it.
I'll be 5 minutes, we'll make your night.
There we go.
All right, okay.
Yeah, okay, Joe. We'll start the clock.
That's what everybody,
Getting Hugus out of the way first.
even the recess.
Paul beat Doug's record.
However, so we'll hear from Mr. Sedlak in the Human Resources Department, but for Tim, which is, good night, Mr. Hugus, great job. With Tim, with the manager's office, mayor and council, that is traditionally a pretty quick review. We can do that in his report or at the start of next week's
You can
meeting,
do it on my report, that's, yeah.
just in the sake of time. Mr. Sedlak.
Okay.
Welcome.
Okay, here we go.
I'm here to talk about the insurance, which is page 25 of your expenditure section of the budget. And as Tim said, it's still rather early for us to get all the quotes, but some quotes did come in so far. I'm going to start with the liability and property section, since that's the largest. We've added less than 2% from last year's budget to this year. We have various insurance carriers such as Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association Insurance and Great American. We also provide insurance to the volunteer fire companies through VFIS. We've done okay in the last 3 years in regards to the lack of claims, which partially account for the proposed small increase in the budget. However, as you know, we do have 5 lawsuits currently pending, where there's deductibles from $10,000 to $25,000, which we will be responsible for. So if these all hit us at once, it could be possibly $125,000 that we'll have to pay out.
If they win.
The one quote that did come in is for the cyber liability. It only went up $2,000. It went from $15,000 to $17,000, and that's basically due to cyber claims nationally. The only problem with the cyber, and which you're not going to know what they're going to cover when it happens. That's the problem. So what your cost may be is not necessarily what they might cover. So you're not going to know, but it's better off that we do have it, just in case. Okay? Just so you know, too, our deductibles are, the property is $2,500, auto is $5,000, law enforcement $10,000, public official errors and omissions $10,000, employment practices $25,000, and general liability $25,000. Now, the higher deductibles give you lower premiums, so that's why we have the higher deductibles. If we would drop them, then our premiums would go way up.
And historically, it seems like that's like the good spot to be in.
Yeah. The only problem with now is the auto, $5,000. You get into fender bender now, and
$10,000.
Doesn't take much.
yeah, we don't turn in some of them because it's just not worth it. Because you're right there, the deductible, so, yeah. Workers' comp.
Dollars for the Kia.
We did get numbers for this. We added less than 4% to last year's budget. We have 2 workers' compensation insurers. For the municipal and volunteer fire departments, it's Encova. And for the Monroeville EMS, it's UPMC Work Partners. The Encova premium is increasing $9,000 to $409,000 this year. It was $400,000 last year. The $400,000 last year is the audited number. Every year we get audited for the workers' comp. And what they do is they look at your payrolls that you put in, and if your payrolls are higher than what you put in, you get assessed that much. So it would end up being $400,000. It's like a tightrope you walk, trying to figure out with overtime and everything else, the payrolls for that year. And you just hope you get it right where you don't get too much of an increase. $9,000 isn't bad though, comparatively. I mean, our claims are down this year. We only have 22 claims so far this year. And we had 37 last year, and we had 34 in 2020. So we're not doing bad on claims. We had some lost time, and there's still some open claims right now. Additionally, the EMS, it only went up $100 to $34,069. And as Eric can tell you, the payroll has gone up dramatically
Substantially.
for Monroeville EMS over the last few years. A lot more calls. So
Joe, what's our behavior mod right now?
0.9934, which anything under 1 is good.
Yeah,
I think we were at 0.9964 last year.
yeah, I think, it's
So
creeped up a
we're-
little
We're
bit,
good
but
on
still.
on the mod, yeah. Additionally, what we have in for the workers' comp is we have a third-party administrator for our claims called the workforce. If there's any claims that I can't handle that are more complex, or if they need urgency, we get the workforce involved. They can get our employees to doctors quicker. They have, they know the doctors, and they can call and say, hey, I need to get this guy in tomorrow, and they can get a guy in tomorrow. Where if the guy tried to do it by themselves, it might take a week. So I use them as I need to. So that's usually like $10,000 to $20,000 a year that we use them for. But they come in handy. They really know a lot of different areas where they can get doctors where we don't. Unemployment, it's the same as last year. What you need to know there is we have had issues with fraudulent unemployment claims, as everybody in the state has had. And this is not necessarily people that have not worked here. We've had people who work here that they have down for unemployment claims. And so we have to fight them, but you still get assessed on those, and you get credited once you show that they were fraudulent. But it's, people that, we have police officers, clerical workers that have been working for the last 5 years, and they have all their information down. The state must have been hacked. That's the only way they could have got all that information. Social Security numbers, the whole thing. So we have to fight every one of them. It's a shame. Lastly, the deductibles. That's what we pay, the deductibles for the employees, for the health care. We pay everyone's deductible. So we're leaving that the same, even though insurance went up 4%, our deductibles stayed the same, so that should stay the same as well.
And that really brings down the premiums by doing that, by
Yes.
having the higher deductible.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
That's a good
So that's it.
thing.
Told you I'd be quick.
Questions for Mr. Sedlak?
7 minutes.
All right,
That's not bad.
it's not bad. Excellent job.
I'll come in 2 minutes early tomorrow.
So, all right, council, any questions or discussion at this point? Seeing none. I'm going to open up the public comment period. Seeing none. So thank you to the departments that scheduled or that presented this evening. And I want to seek a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you and good night.
And good night.